Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto rejects his parents. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content, and do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Why? Why do they never look at me? That voice sounded like it was drained any emotion, and it seemed to falling apart, but unfortunately, it belonged to a boy who seemed to be 8 years old. A boy who was born in a life that anyone would give their right arm and left leg for less to enjoy a week under such luxurious circumstances. But for this boy, it was the worst. His name was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, first son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki. To be honest, the trouble didn't start the second he was born. He actually had a happy life, back when he was the only child. That's right, Naruto now has younger siblings and a pair of twins at that. Back to the point, Naruto was actually very calm and polite, and yet he still loved to have fun and play. His smile and innocent personality could brighten up anyone's day, and that was what made his parents proud. They saw that this boy was destined for greatness among countless friends and later allies for the trials that lie ahead in life. But they never saw what will happen a week after Naruto's 5th birthday. It actually started 9 months before. The whole village learned that the Hokage's wife was pregnant once again, and this time with the good chance of twins. Naruto, of course, was the happiest boy around. He was going to be a big brother to a pair of cute twins. He helped around the house, especially around his mother, hoping to make the 9 months to come to be having the least stress as possible. He would always bring her meals whenever she was hungry, or a glass of water when she needed it, or even carry her laundry. His parents approved of this as they saw their son becoming a responsible young boy, a good example of an older brother. Kushina even allowed Naruto to playfully talk to his yet-to-be-born younger siblings while they were still inside her belly. When the 9 months have passed, it was near the time for childbirth, and normally, it was a painful experience for any woman, but for Kushina, it was a disaster just waiting to happen. That was because she was a jinchuriki, a living container of a biju. The biju are beings made of raw energy that were bounded together by a conscious into shapes like those of animals or any other creature that exists purely in nature. They were named by how many tails they had, since no two biju had the same number of tails. They were even listed as their strength varied on the tail number, in which the reference is that the Ichibi was the weakest and still can level a village and an army of warriors. The point was that jinchuriki were kept in a special seal that can be found on a jinchuriki, and for female jinchuriki that seal was at its weakest during childbirth. That was why the birthing process was being performed once again in a remote area only known to the 3rd and 4th Hokage, as well as seal masters who were present to make sure that the Kyuubi, who was the biju that was sealed in Kushina, because among jinchuriki, Uzumaki clan members are born with bigger chakra reserves, longer lifespans, and enhanced durability that allows them to survive the sealing of the Kyuubi, since its chakra nature is acidic and poisonous to any other who attempts to become its jinchuriki. It wasn't as painful as when Naruto was born, since she gotten used to it by the smallest amount, but it doesn't change the fact that those who were a foot in range had to expose their ears to profanity and fits of a woman giving birth because their pheromones on top high. What was never to expect was that a masked man had somehow entered the remote location and killed the guards while he was at it. He then killed the 3rd Hokage's wife and the seal master that was present, as well as stolen the twins who were just born. The man blackmailed Minato into running away from Kushina in order to save them, since their wrappings were lined with exploding seals. Minato managed to discard the rigged blankets and took them back to the compound, where he left them with Naruto, who promised to watch them while he waited for his parents to return. Meanwhile, the masked man had bounded and exhausted Kushina from her childbirth experience. He then forced the Kyuubi to exit her from the very seal itself, causing her even more pain, and almost killed her. Fortunately, Minato was able to rescue her before the unsealing could harm her even further. Still, they needed to attend the problem at hand, the resealing of the Kyuubi. While the married couple was preparing to do the sealing, something else happened in Konoha itself. The Kyuubi, controlled by a powerful and cursed eye known as the Sharingan, was attacking the village and killing hundreds endlessly. Still, it wasn't the big event, because it was when the masked man somehow found the Hokage mansion and tried to kidnap the twins again. Naturally, they were found in Naruto's arms, but the little boy refused to hand them over and taunted the masked man into running after him within the mansion. After seeing that the masked man can turn intangible but only for 5 minutes, Naruto managed to rig the housewares to create a trap that would use this weakness to its advantage. When it succeeded, Naruto managed to remove the mask to see a face he recognized from the pictures that he saw throughout the house. It was him for sure. Before Naruto could get a better look, the figure used a last resort and left, saying that if he stayed longer, he would never win against such a trap master, and a quick thinker not normally seen in only the age 5. Because of that age, Naruto took it as a compliment and thanked the man for it, but then the man behind the mask left, leaving a single tear and an echo that Naruto can still hear in his ear. "Come one day and help me see it again." Whatever he meant, Naruto understood and nodded as the blonde watched as the masked man disappear in a vortex. The next thing that came was the arrival of Minato in front of his first son. That meant to Naruto that everything was going to be okay, yet he was answered with the command to hand over his new siblings. Something told him that there was desperation in that tone, and it didn't seem to sit well with Naruto as he reluctantly handed his new brother and sister. And before Minato left to perform what could be his biggest regret, Naruto held him back and made his father promise him that they were going to be okay and that he will see his entire family again after tonight. Minato smiled and answered with pure honesty that he will do his best and that all Naruto has to do and wait and believe in his father, the Hokage. Naruto, being the eager one to follow instructions to the letter, he agreed, but after a while the blonde began to have an upset feelings that his father was near death's door. Being a child of only 5, he saw that his father and the rest of his parents were hurt and scared. He couldn't stay at the house anymore. Naruto left towards where he could feel his parents. When he came across them, he was met with the feeling of shock and relief. Shock at how the Kyuubi was so much bigger in person than the storybooks say, and relief because he was clever for his age and he knew the terrain that the Biju was placing his support on. It was rigged ages ago, when Naruto secretly practiced his trap-making skills. They were still there. All Naruto has to do for real this time was to wait patiently for the right time and take his prey by surprise, to make it drop its guard until the final moment is wasted. From below, not knowing about Naruto, Minato and Kushina were preparing to seal the Kyuubi, but this time divided in two with each half in one of the twins. They didn't like it, but there was no other choice, and they had Hiruzen and Tsunade around to both hold up the seal and help heal Kushina. Jiraiya was also there with 2 of Toad's summons to keep the Kyuubi at bay, but the 3 were slowing, losing to the strongest of the Biju. Sure enough, Kyuubi got free and almost used one of its powerful tails to kill the humans below, including Naruto's young twins. Now was the time to strike for the dime. Naruto pulled the strings and a pitfall revealed itself to be where the Kyuubi was placing all his support on a single back leg, causing it to sink. This also caused the tail homing on the twin girl and boy to fall off course only minutes before it was able to carry out its purpose. This gave everyone else with enough time to resume the sealing while the Kyuubi was taken off guard. Yet, that was the first thing everyone forgot. After the Kyuubi was separated and sealed into each of the twins, thus ending the nightmare, the group returned to Konoha in order to help with the damage that the Biju had caused prior to its resealing. Naruto raced to his parents to tell them about how he helped, but they wouldn't hear it until Naruto let it slip that he left the house when he was told to remain there. This got him grounded for a month without his favorite food to eat for dinner the entire time. Naruto was left with a heart that had a crack in it. Enough of the past, now it was time to talk about the present. It wasn't a good life for poor Naruto. The boy tried his best to set a good example to his new siblings and even play with them, but every time he gets even close, his parents will come out of nowhere and said that the twins should be taught instead of playing with him. Even though they never said the words, but that meant to Naruto that playing with him was a waste of time. This was the second time he was forgotten. Naruto spent nearly half of his life trying to get his parents to train him, but they always blow him off as they needed to train the twins. They even promised to train him once he enters the academy. Naruto believed them and tried to endure the loneliness and pain of being a big brother that was never known. Still, it was hard, and Naruto was left in his room all alone thinking about how he was given a terrible life in which he doesn't know why. Now, Naruto was trying to sleep, but his worry and confusion kept him from dozing off, so he decided to go and get a glass of water in hopes it will help smooth his nerves. But that night proved to be one that will change his life forever. It was when he happened to pass by his father's study where he heard voices. Being the curious little rascal, he wanted to hear more. "You know, Kushina-chan, tomorrow is the twins' birthday, and I think I can have sensei give them the Toad contract for a present while I teach them the Rasengan." That voice belonged to Minato all right, and it seemed to be directed at his wife, who seemed to not be sure about the idea. "Are you sure, Minato-kun? Aren't the twins too young for that, and instead we should give them to Naruto-kun? He can learn how to use them since he is a genius like you, and he may even be able to help his siblings when they are old enough to learn it," Kushina said, and Naruto felt a little warm in his heart. He thought both of his parents forgot about him. But any good feelings were tarnished after what Minato had to say to that. "No, that won't be a good idea. Naruto could even do the simplest jutsu like the twins, so they would be granted those rights." Naruto felt like his heart sank. His own father kept him weak and used it as an excuse. Yet the hurricane was just about to come when Minato said something he is going to regret. "While I am at it, maybe I should make the twins heirs to our family. They have the skills to back it up." "But dear, isn't that Naruto's birthright?" Kushina protested but couldn't get any further when she sighed. "All right, dear, you always know what is best for the clan." That was it. Naruto felt all broken inside as his legs lost their strength and the blonde fell to the ground with his back facing the wall as he flooded his eyes of tears. He no longer wanted to stay in the compound where it hurts, or even the entire clan where it hurts even more. Naruto hid while his parents turned in for the night, while he went to his new plan. He snuck into the storeroom and took all the spare sealing scrolls. He snuck into the library where he sealed them all into one scrolls and left the hand-copied ones in their places. Next thing was the forbidden scroll in the Hokage Tower. He copied every word into a blank scroll he found on the way and left the original where he found it. Naruto then made his expulsion from the clan while he left the compound behind, only looking back at the room where the twins slept in. Then, he made a late-night purchase of his own house where he unpacked and slept in his own room and his own bed. Instead of nightmares, he dreamed of his own life ruled by his own rules instead of others who would just write down what comes to mind rather than discussing them with the rest of those who would follow them. The sun, the ball of light and fire that ensures all life on the elemental countries, was not to be appreciated for waking everyone up when they were just enjoying their sleep. Especially a blonde who looked terrible with the messy blonde hair and blue eyes that were ruined by the near-dead look on his face. First rule, never stay up later than 10 o'clock at night. Just go to bed before. Naruto thought as he took a notebook he brought along with the title New Home Rules and wrote down the one that came to mind. Now the next thing to do is get breakfast. Luckily, he played a thief well enough to swipe off a portion of the Namake's fortune that will only scratch the entire surface but still enough to afford a house and everything else you need on the side. Along with this handsome sum, Naruto also went to the kitchen and made off with enough food for the morning meal as well as some cookbooks. Naruto hopes that if he spends his money the right way, he can afford to keep his house until he becomes an official shinobi after completing the academy. And speaking of which, when he looked it up, Naruto noticed that the D-ranks missions or chores set up by lazy people he calls them should be given to academy students so they can be flexible enough to work with any team they should be paired with. After having breakfast, Naruto got dressed and went to go grocery shopping. The people there were always welcoming Naruto since he helped them with their lives, including playing with their children and moved boxes of produce around. Thankfully, after the Kyuubi incident, they still remember Naruto, so he always felt at home in the market where they work rather than in the Hokage mansion. Basically, shopping for food and other needs went smoothly and Naruto was able to avoid any trouble. This should hold a few weeks, but I really do need to have a source of income, and it will be too awkward to get allowance from the Hokage. Naruto muttered as he tried to think of a way to make money on his own in order to keep paying mortgage as well as other needs. He was so absorbed in his thoughts that he didn't notice someone about to run into him as he returned home. Oof. Ow. Naruto found himself face down on the pavement, but other than that, nothing was broken, and that included the food. He quickly got to his feet and gathered up his goods just to bow and say, "I am sorry. I will be on my way." When Naruto looked up, he saw something that he never thought he would do ever in his life. The someone turned out to be more than one person, and it was a woman with a boy Naruto's age and another boy who seemed to be 5 years older than both the blonde and the one with the hair of a duck bottom color. Naruto just met them for the first time personally, but he remembered those descriptions from his mom before he had to leave the family. They are Mikoto Uchiha with her 2 sons, Itachi and Sasuke Uchiha. Hey, aren't you Kushi-chan's son? Naruto knew that Mikoto was best friends with his mother, so that would explain the nickname. My name is Naruto, and you are the wife of the Uchiha clan head with the 2 heirs. I am sorry for my rudeness. I will be on my way. Naruto ignored the question and was about to get to his home when he was halted by this. Why aren't you with your family? The blonde should have known that it was coming, so he just took in a few breaths and faced them again and answered. I have no family. The last one was planning to throw me away as they took everything I could ever have for them from me. Naruto said in a rather serious tone for an 8-year-old, and it caused his new audience and everyone else around him to gasp in disbelief. The blonde resumed his journey back home when he was halted once again, but not by words but by a hand on his shoulder. Let me talk to Kushina about this, and it will all be okay. Mikoto tried to assure Naruto, but he shook his head. It won't be okay because I am nothing but extra baggage to them. That was it. Anyone on that street saw that there was no emotion in that voice, like it was of the dead. Naruto was completely serious about why he left the Namikaze Uzumaki clan. This time, Naruto did get back on his way, but also Mikoto told her sons to take the groceries to the Uchiha compound while she accompanied the blonde to his new house. After a good walk, Naruto returned to his house with a companion by his side, but for the moment, it looked that he had a stalker in plain view. Naruto sighed when he opened the door. Mikoto-sama, if you want to talk to me about how miserable I was in that clan and how miserable I will be on my own, you better have something good for me to listen to. The woman nodded and followed Naruto into his living room, which surprised her that it was all neat and tidy, not a single trace of dust or dirt. It was indeed curious that a house owned by a child will be all clean like that. This boy could be a good housekeeper in the making, but that wasn't the point, or why Mikoto is here. Would you like some tea and red-hot curry? I have plenty of ingredients in case I have guessed. Naruto asked, and Mikoto drooled at the mention of her favorite food, so she nodded with a dumbstruck look on her face. Mikoto then took a seat on the couch while looking around and getting a good glimpse of the living room. It sure has a lot of decorations for someone who just bought it last night. Naruto must have been busy. After a short while of exploring with only using eyes, a smell invaded her nose, causing her to turn into its direction. Naruto was carrying a tray with tea and curry. Here you are. I hope it satisfies. Naruto spoke in a polite tone, the type that is expected of butlers or anyone trained to make guests feel welcome. Mikoto was just feeling that way, so she accepted the food. It was delicious despite being made by an 8-year-old. When she even took a small taste, Mikoto couldn't stop herself from eating the rest like a starving man that was given free food. Naruto didn't mind. It was actually a compliment that his cooking skills are off to a good start. He always keeps himself fed by making the food himself. Yes, it does, but now let's get down to what is important. Mikoto said in a happy tone, turned serious, and Naruto knew why, so he took his own seat and got comfortable. First, tell me why you don't want to live with your family. Mikoto just had to get that over with since it was the most painful for the blonde. The boy sighed and told Mikoto about what happened ever since the QB attack 3 years ago. Once he was done, the blonde couldn't tell if the curry or his guest's temper is hotter, as Mikoto was boiling over on how one of her best friend was following her baka of a husband like an obsessive fangirl. The Uchiha knew how much Kushina had from Hinata, but the red-haired woman said she grew out of it for years. And that is it. Damn Kushina, I really thought you were cool, but to follow that team like a lost puppy, this really takes the cake. Mikoto muttered really loudly, that was beginning to freak Naruto out. He may be so responsible and mature, he was still an 8-year-old in the face of female fury. Tell you what, I am going to help you, Naruto-kun. Mikoto took a much friendly turn but was deflated when she saw that the blonde wasn't convinced. Thanks, but the pity will only make my life harder, and you knew that. Besides, I am planning on taking D ranks to earn my bread for food and rent. The wife for the Uchiha clan head doesn't deserve to waste her time with a common folk like me. Naruto spoke with barely any emotion at all. Damn you too. Look what you have done to such a young and promising boy with your ignorance and stupidity. Mikoto thought after seeing the real picture for once. Okay then, but you are not going to spend your childhood on your own, young man. Mikoto said with authority in her tone that got Naruto straight to attention, the way the Uchiha woman wanted. If you wouldn't let us support you, then at least consider letting us train you if your family is not willing to. Learning on the spot is impressive, but nothing beats training with company. That is going to be our top rule, understand? Naruto nodded, and Mikoto smiled at how her efforts to get to him were successful at last. Later that day, after dragging Naruto to the Uchiha compound, Itachi and Sasuke were introduced to Naruto, and the latter got along so well, it seemed the two boys were like twin brothers. They didn't want to stop playing together. As for the former, he understood that it was tough to be in the shadow of siblings from finally connecting to Sasuke against the will of the clan head. Both Itachi and Naruto didn't stand for Gaku's presence at all. That man was nothing to be trusted despite the man's status. Itachi just wanted his only brother to have a playmate of his age without the fear of their family impression preventing this from happening. He just didn't expect for both boys to beg him to teach them with their combined jutsu that will make any man break down. Itachi was not strong enough to overcome it, and that was how he became a teacher at such a young age. After gaining a couple of teachers and a boy of his age to play with, things seemed to be sailing smoothly for the blonde. Of course, he had to gain money in some way to pay for needs and bills, but Mikoto offered to handle them herself with her clan's wealth until the blonde can enter the academy. The female head of the Uchiha managed to convince the Hokage to have academy students take D-rank ninja missions during the academy, since they never required anyone to leave the village, and it will better prepare them for any teams that they can be assigned to. But after all that, the biggest gift for Naruto had just arrived only a year after meeting the friendly Uchihas. I will never forget that day. Naruto sighed from the balcony of his home and looking at the stars of the arriving night sky. It was one of the few but effective ways to brighten his spirits and help him relax. Right now, he was reviewing about when he met the girl that he could never live without. Flashback begin. Wow! This day is so swell. Naruto yelled at the top of his voice as he went down the street towards his home with a wide smile on his face. Everyone who saw him just smiled back and resumed their activities, while some yelled have a nice day before they do such. It was like nothing could ruin this good day, but once the sun sets, Naruto wished he hadn't spoken so soon. The reason? Well, Naruto was still on his way home when something caught the corner of his eye. It looked like trouble, so the blonde went to investigate. Once he arrived, the mere sight made his blood boil. A group of boys who seemed to be in the age group that can be admitted to the ninja academy, but that wasn't it. What got Naruto angry was that those boys were even acting like future ninjas. They were bullies and they were having their latest victim, a girl his age, and she was severely wounded. Not the type to waste time, Naruto went into action. Still think that you are above us because you are a Hyuga? Well, we will teach you to respect your betters. The leader of the bullies slapped her on the face again and still looked down on her. Say it. Say that we are more valuable. That villain's sickening voice was silenced when he was sent into a stone wall by a rather powerful punch to the cheek. The girl looked up to see a boy as old as she is, standing tall against the bullies who were trying to beat her for the clan she was from. Her name was Hinata Hyuga, heiress and destined to rule the whole Hyuga clan one day. That is, everyone called her a failure because she took after her mother, so she was kind and caring pacifist that stutters all the time. She was just on a walk with her bodyguard, Ko, until he disappeared and the pair ambushed her and started to insult and beat her up, saying that they were going to prove that her clan has gotten weak and senile to have a pathetic and weak girl for heiress. "Hey, what is wrong with you?" one of the bullies yelled. "Don't you see that we are busy teaching this bitch a lesson?" He couldn't say another word when he was slugged in the jaw, disconnecting it from the rest of his mouth. "What I see are a bunch of poor excuses for ninjas ganging up and beating a girl who can't fight back thanks to you jerks," Naruto retorted calmly, which got he bullies angry. "Ninjas are not supposed to prove their strength by ganging up on those who are younger and weaker than any of you. Besides, what will happen when this girl's bodyguard finds a bunch of no-good brats beating on the Hyuga heiress?" As the blonde was proving his point, the bullies were getting angry with his taunting of them. "I know. He will break some bones, give your parents the hospital bill, and report to the Hokage that his future ninjas are showing their power by bullying younger girls for less. What do we care when they will never find out?" Another of the bullies tried to savage their pride, but they only got a frown and then a creepy smile from the blonde. "Oh? Is it because you do this when no one is looking? Then I will have fun seeing how you run when you are found out." As soon as those words left his mouth, smoke appeared in front of Naruto and the bullies to reveal the Hyuga named Ko in question. He was confused as to why he sent to another part of the village. The bullies were backing in fear while Naruto still had his grin on and turned to Hinata. "Go on. Tell him what is going on." Naruto then stepped aside so that Hinata can speak. Ko will only listen to his superiors and also Hinata, no one else. "You KKOs and T those mean boys over T there T they hurt me and S said bad T things about Outsi clan. T that is W what happened." Hinata managed to speak, and lucky, Ko also managed to make out given the angry expression on his face as he turned to face the shaking bullies. She then silently eeped when Naruto took her into his arms and chest, because what happened next was a real beating. Ko didn't hold back just because they were young boys. They got what came to them after insulting real ninjas they claimed to be already. While Ko wondered where did Hinata went, he instead decided to make his trip to the hospital with these bone bags his first priority instead. "I will definitely be chewed out by their parents, but once they see the bill, they will shut up for sure." Ko sighed and then had an evil smirk on his face while he was thinking of such impressions on those civilians. Meanwhile, Hinata opened her eyes to see herself in a living room with a blanket on her. "Oh good, you are awake." A voice crept up on her, and she hid under the covers in fright. "Sorry if I frightened you, I just wanted to see if you're doing well." The voice appeared again with as much as friendliness as before, so Hinata decided to trust it and lifted her head from the darkness on the covers. She saw that the person next to her was the same boy who defended her from the bullies. "Why, you are the B-boy who are rescued me thank why you," Hinata said while silently cursing herself for being such a mess in front of her savior. To her surprise, Naruto just smiled at her despite the broken thank you. "It is no problem, and besides, you don't have to hate yourself," the blonde replied. That got Hinata surprised that he managed to read her mind. "Before you asked, no, I can't read minds like the Yamanaka clan, but instead, I can read your feeling through your eyes. After all, on a person's body, the eyes are the only gateways to the soul," Naruto explained in order to calm down the shaken heiress. "Oh okay, what is YUN name?" "I am Hinata Hyuga." Hinata asked politely. Now she felt more relaxed. "Hinata huh? Cute name, and explains why you being ganged up," Naruto said that with a smile that later turned into a scowl that only got stronger with this next question. "If that man named Ko was supposed to protect you, then where was he when you needed him the most?" "I don't know. He just disappeared, and then those stupid bullies attacked me out of the blue saying that they were avenging their families." Hinata started as her usual stuttering self, but later got bold as she got more upset and angry. She later noticed that Naruto was having a smirk on his face now that confused her. "Nice that you didn't stutter on that last one. You really do have a separate personality. It is just as nice as the one you show to others," Naruto said. That got Hinata even more embarrassed and surprised. "It is nothing to be ashamed of if you want others not to see it." Hinata was now confused by that statement. "It just shows that you have secrets you save for those you trust. Sharing such things with such people is always a good way to show how much you trust them. If they spill them out of spite, then it is never your fault." Hinata didn't say a word but actually was thinking hard on those words. "Do you trust me?" That got Hinata is a spiral on what to say next. Finally, she uttered, "I want to trust you, and Naruto-kun. But I barely know why you." "That I is my answer, feel free to hit me." No such thing came, and Naruto instead hugged Hinata, who couldn't believe that her savior is doing something that hadn't happened to her since her mother died years ago, and that her blush was redder than before. It is okay to say that, Hinata-chan. The heiress couldn't believe her ears when she heard her name being addressed like that. It is the truth, and we both know that. That is why I want to be your friend, so you will no longer be lonely again. Hinata had to convince herself not to faint, which was hard, but she prevailed. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Hinata spoke before falling asleep again, but without pain or sadness or nightmares, because she was in the warmth of her first real friend. Speaking of which, Naruto smiled on Hinata's sleeping face and thought it was cute since it was so peaceful and free, without anything held back forcefully. It was beginning of something big and beautiful. Naruto could just feel it. Flashback end. As soon as Naruto finished his trip down memory lane, he reached his new home. Inside were two girls, and one of them looked familiar. Naruto-kun. Welcome back. That voice sounded familiar, and if we take a good look at the girl, it was Hinata. Thanks for the warm welcome, Hinata-chan, and I see you brought Hanabi-chan with you too, Naruto said as he recognized the second girl with the similar features that matched Hinata when she was that age. That was because Hanabi is Hinata's younger sister that was born with her mother's looks, but this time, with her father's confidence. Hey, Naruto-kun. Still, Hanabi was very young and couldn't say big names without her infamous nicknames that drove others up the wall to correct every time. Naruto himself learned that the hard way and gave up a long time ago. Sigh, Hanabi-chan, it is good to see you haven't changed. The blonde uttered that got his house guests to giggle. Still, it is almost time to enter the Ninja Academy. We may have little to no time to play with some as cute as you, Hanabi-chan. Now Naruto's tone took a cheerful turn mixed with a spice of seriousness. I'm not sad. Naru-chan and Hinane-chan always have time to play with me. Now that was a voice of a child that can brighten up anyone's day. Will Naru-chan be with Hinane-chan in the Ninja Academy? Hanabi-chan and I am sure we both will. After all, we are all friends to play with, Naruto said, and no one could deny that after Hinata became friends with Naruto, the blonde met Hanabi later, and the two paired off ever since. They will play every time they visited each other like today. I agree, Naruto-kun. I never want to be anywhere but with you and Hanabi-chan. Hinata added her own 2 cents while dozing off on the blonde's right arm, while Hanabi copied her by taking a nap on Naruto's lap, using his left arm as a pillow. This is my real family, and it will be a cold day in hell that I let anything ruin it like they did, Naruto thought as he also went out like a light, thinking that his life was going to be good from now on. It was a big day when the year at the academy begun, children too excited to stay still, parents wishing them good luck in their first day, and staff looking forward to their next selection of kids to drill lectures into their heads. For 2 students, it was even more special because they can finally learn how to be ninjas, and that meant for them, they can go on ninja missions together, save enough money to live on their own entirely. Naruto was glad that he managed to convince the Hokage to issue D-rank missions for academy students while still in the academy. That will really teach them teamwork, and those chores that civilians are too lazy to do themselves weren't what most kids think of ninja work. They always dream of jumping through trees, learning to use ninjutsu and become heroes. At least that disappointment is sure never to strike again. Is it great, Hinata-chan? Naruto yelled with clear excitement in his voice that shined off his eyes. We are finally allowed to become ninjas. Think of what we can do once we graduate. Hinata giggled at the sight of her close friend bouncing on and off walls as they walked from Naruto's house. I am sure it is, Naruto-kun. I am just glad that you finally managed to get those D-rank chores where they actually help. Hinata also was excited, but she was also trying her best to keep her emotions in check. It is what ninjas do. Don't I know it? Now we academy students can increase our allowance and our teamwork with other students whatever, or we are on the same team once we graduate. Sounds like you want to finish the academy before we actually start our first day, Naruto-kun. Hinata giggled and the blonde froze before making a sheepish look on his face. You're right about that, Hinata-chan. Let's just keep going, Naruto admitted, and he continued walking with Hinata until they reached the Shinobi Academy building. He could just burst thinking on how cool and exciting the academy will be. Maybe Naruto shouldn't have spoken so soon. Sure, they learned a lot in the academy, but it all what civilians will love to learn instead of ninjas. Seriously, how can learning about what tea the first Hokage loved or what hair color the second Hokage had will help them in battle? Naruto sure doesn't know, and neither did Hinata. You should know, because right now, the duo were sitting in their seats, yawning away at their teacher right on the board. Don't get wrong, they had good grades, but all that history and math was just too boring. The days just drag on, and until half of the year had passed, and that is when trouble started, when the royal twins of Konoha will join the academy. Everyone could remember it like it was yesterday, because it was. Flashback begins. It was just another day at the academy. A boring lecture, taijutsu tryouts, and more D-rank missions on teamwork which only helped the students' allowance. They were just wasting sunshine, stuck in that stuffy room while the teacher was writing chalk on the blackboard. Then the door opened to reveal two Snoopy-looking kids. A girl who had her hair in a ponytail and wore very fancy clothes complete with a skirt and tank top that did little to hide what is underneath, which was all skin and bones. The boy wore very similar, and like the girl, he was like a scarecrow, lean but stuffed with straw. The teacher looked from his lectures and addressed the two. "I am sorry, but today is not for newcomers," he said politely, which could have been said for his answer. "Shut up, commoner. Don't you know who we are? We can go everywhere we want. I just don't know why Tu-san and Ka-chan wanted us to be in a stinking room filled with losers. They look so weak," the boy said so rudely that even the more stoic students started growling. The teacher was about to backslap them for their impoliteness until Naruto spoke up. "Sensei, that is Keiji and Mito Namikaze. I am sure you heard of them?" Gasps were heard around the room. The Hokage's children. The teacher was shocked and connected the dots. Naruto wasn't kidding, since they looked like their parents with some of the traits on either of them. "Sorry for my rudeness. You may take whatever seat is left." The teacher made a complete 180 and went back to his lecturing. Keiji and Mito just went to find the best seats, whatever or not they were already taken. The former found one empty seat alright, right next to Hinata. Keiji then did something he will later regret. "Hello, beautiful. I see that there is a diamond in the rough, or should I say, a princess among losers. Will you like to go for a date after class? You will love my company?" Keiji was, for the better word, a playboy in the making. Luckily, Hinata was better than any of those naive and shallow fangirls. "I am sorry, but I already promised to do some training with Naruto-kun after class. Try one of the other girls." Hinata tried to politely refuse, but Keiji just won't take no for an answer. "No way. I am Keiji Namikaze, the next Hokage, and no woman can ever refuse to be one of my wives." There was no shame, not even an ounce of it, in that voice. Keiji then grabbed Hinata right hard on the wrist. "It is either you go on a date with me or that your little loser of a friend gets what is coming for him once I tell Tu-san on him." The other students, boys not girls, were starting to get irritated, but their thoughts were interrupted when Keiji howled in pain. The spoiled boy's own wrist was grabbed so hard that Keiji released his hold on Hinata. There was even the faint sound of bones cracking. When a girl says no, that is all there is to it. Naruto revealed to be the one that grabbed Keiji. Besides, grabbing an unwilling girl by the wrist is a form of sexual harassment, and the punishment for it can get a little messy and ugly. Naruto spoke in complete confidence. Enough. Their starting contest was halted when the teacher brought their attention. Keiji took this as his chance to get out of trouble. "Sensei, this boy tried to hurt me for no good reason. He should be expelled. I demand it." Keiji ranted and lied, which might have worked, but two things weren't in that spoiled boy's favor. 1. His last sentence was that of a liar and blamer, and 2. The teacher was watching the whole thing from the very beginning. "I will see to the punishment for my students, Namikaze-sama. In the meantime, you and your sisters should be setting a better example for your fellow classmates if you want them to look up to you." The teacher awed everyone as he successfully shouted down the royal twins, or at least the boys who already hate Keiji, but the girls tried to get on the boys' side by trying to protest and continue to blame Naruto. They got a week's detention and bathroom duty of the restrooms used by the Akimichi clan, and trust me, after what they eat every day, they have a lot to relive. Flashback ends. Ever since they first showed up and alienated everyone else, the royal twins had made the academy days torture, for both boys and girls. Keiji will always discuss the boys, including Naruto, on how he acted like a self-centered playboy who will always flirt with one girl and then find another to flirt with all over again. The girls hated on how Mito will always stink up the room with her heavy and strong perfume, as well as being vain to a fault. As much as they wished, the academy staff also couldn't stand the presence of the twins, as their job got harder and less tolerable due to the vanity and rudeness of the royal twins. They just did what the students did, endure it like Naruto somehow spread into the hearts of those who listened to words. And they did, all the way to the end of the year, when the Genin exams are going to weed out the ones who deserve to become ninjas and those who need another year. That is, for the civilian students, that is, the clan heirs or members who are attending the academy actually stay for 3 years so they can continue their education. More like clan heads trying to keep them from dying. Naruto was given the chance of graduating, but since he refused to leave Hinata's side, not with the twins who may find a good enough excuse to make her future look bleak and present terrible. So, the Hokage finally got Naruto to take the Genin exams with the promise once Naruto becomes a Genin, he can visit Hinata in the academy daily. Also, once Naruto became a Jonin, the blonde can take Hinata as his Genin student. It was like Kami or God herself had placed her favor into Naruto's odds because Naruto passed the Genin exams with flying colors. Still, he had a lot to explain and a long time to gain his hearing back after Hinata learned of this. Flashback begins. What? It was like the village shook when that cry of disbelief screeched throughout the streets, but crazier things have happened than this, so no one ever bothered checking it out. That was fortunate for Naruto, because it came from his new house and more specifically his living room. I keep telling Hinata-chan, Naruto spoke rather annoyed by his answer, I have graduated from the academy and about to become an actual ninja. But what about the others? Your classmates? Your friends? What about me? Hinata yelled without her usual shuddering to show just how upset and confused she was. I will be training so I can become a jonin, but I will never be stopped from visiting you and vice versa. Naruto said, and Hinata calmed, it is the only way to afford to keep this all to myself, and if you want, you can move in too. And move I in? Hinata began stuttering once she was embarrassed all over again. Okay, after some attempts to hold back on her wild imagination, Hinata finally was able to speak better. Naruto didn't speak a word, he just hugged Hinata, who openly cried and hugged Naruto back. Still, that was to be the moment that one was going to forget. Hinata decided it was now or never. She went up to Naruto's eye level and kissed him on the lips. She didn't care anymore about what might happen afterwards. She had summarized all her growing feels into one action, and that was all there is to it. Naruto, on the other hand, was shocked that Hinata was kissing him. Still, he didn't want to reject it, so he soon accepted the kiss and made it even deeper. They all enjoyed the kiss, but soon, they needed to breathe, so they broke up the kiss with a trail of saliva between their mouths. I am sorry if you are upset, but I promise I will visit you whenever I get the chance. As long as still get to see you, then I don't care how long it takes to be together again. Hinata answered truthfully. They then stayed in their embrace for the rest of the day. Flashback ends. And Naruto did visit them. The Hyuga sisters always enjoyed his company even more when they came for some tea and ramen, as well as listening to his stories about his days as a genin. Some of them were hilarious when something went wrong and his team would have tried to get out of dangerous or better yet embarrassing situations. He would even help Hinata with her homework since he learned them on the fly during his genin team. Most times it was taijutsu tryouts and ninjutsu theory, since that is all the academy ever taught them. And pretty soon, it had been 2 more years and Naruto actually managed to surprise everyone by becoming a jonin, ready to become a team leader, in record time for the graduation of the clan heirs. It was when the jonin teachers to receive their teams, and Naruto was excited to hear about his genin students that included Hinata, but all that vanished when 2 things happened. Number 1 were the genin students he was assigned to. The team arrangements went like this. Jonin Naruto Uzumaki will lead cell number 8 with Hinata Hyuga, Here Comes the Hurricane, Mito, and Keiji Namikaze. Number 2 was when Naruto was coming home late the night before he was assigned his genin team. He noticed someone was hiding in a bush, lying in the shadows. Once he got a better look, it was a young girl of 3 years old that resembled the wife of the 4th Namikaze. Yet she was scared of Naruto, so he asked who she was. The girl answered, Yurina Uzumaki, the daughter my former family had forgotten. Naruto couldn't be any angrier at the Namikaze clan than ever. Naruto-kun, who is this? Hinata asked as she noticed the girl that Naruto had met the previous night. The girl seemed to be 3 years old the most, and 2 looked like she fell into a thorn bush or 10 and down a hill with her tarred-up clothes, dirty skin and bruises. This is a girl who had to be neglected by her parents like I did. Naruto said. He had shared his real past with Hinata and Hanabi since he trusted that much. They gasped as they lead the shy girl away to be washed and given new clothes. Naruto just stayed behind to make something for her to eat. He had learned the basics on his own, but Naruto had to get lessons from Mikoto and Hinata on how to do better. Once he had made some meat ramen with spring rolls to help with the guests' malnourishment, along with some tea to steel her nerves about being in a strange new house with strangers. Soon, the 2 Hyuga sisters came out with Yurina dressed in their style of garb, yet it was still better than her own tattered clothes that she was wearing. Yurina could only mutter out words as Hinata gently sat her down at the dining table while Naruto placed the plate of food, and lastly, Hanabi gave her tea to drink. After a while, Yurina finally decided to try out the food, only to dig in like a pig. That showed just how much she was starving. Then Yurina noticed that everyone was staring at her, and she nearly shrank down in embarrassment when Hanabi just shared more food with her, so the poor girl took it and ate a little more quietly. Dessert was a chocolate cake with frosting on top, which the girls enjoyed, even Yurina. Tea, thank you for food. Yurina stuttered that made Hinata as she saw her younger self inside this guest. It was no problem, but we would like to know better on why your family had kicked you out, Naruto said, and Yurina gulped as she recalled such bad memories. I was born A after T twin older B brother and S sister S so they T though that I will be as G good as them. Yurina tried to keep her focus, and Hinata rubbed her on the back helped her a little. B but they only tired T to train Nisen and Nasen by letting Yurina was about to break and before anyone could stop her, she made an outburst. Letting them beat me up while they watched. Yurina was trying to catch her breath while everyone was looking at her with looks of shock and disbelief. T then I decided to try and run away but they wanted their punching bag back so I had to lose them but I got lost in the dark. All I remember is B being hurt all over. Yurina then felt a hand on top of her head which had caused her to pause. That is enough. I never meant for you to relive it. I am sorry for asking such a selfish request. Naruto said in a remorseful tone that Yurina tried to tear at but then Hanabi hugged her. Yeah. Forget about them. You have us now and forever. It was probably the innocent voice of a child that had got Yurina smiling and hugged the younger girl back while trying to dry her tears. Hanabi then took Yurina into one of the rooms since they had long finished their meal while Naruto and Hinata looked at them with smiles until the two young girls were out of sight, when they took on grimmer expressions. Looks like it cannot be ignored any longer Naruto-kun, Hinata said while the blonde stayed silent. It is getting out of hand for the Namikaze clan when it came to any children other than the twins. Hinata-chan. Naruto spoke brief and to the point that had caused the Hyuga heiress to pause. You are right, it is time to get involved and since they had ordered me to train the twins along with you Hinata-chan, I will have to force them to reveal just how perfect their family truly is. Hinata saw much conviction in that voice yet as well as malice so she hoped that her blonde will realize that making other people suffer no matter what they did is wrong. Everyone will have to see what happens and how the rest of the world will react to it. Then it was time for the teams to get introduced to their teachers so they all grouped up in the classroom and was forced to listen to a boring speech by Irika, telling them that they had finally graduated and that their whole lives were just ahead. Yet why are we short of 2 graduates? The royal twins hadn't arrived yet and that was what bothered the rest of the students the most. That they had been treated and looked down on by 2 kids of their age all because that Mito and Keiji were born as the only children of the Hokage. Everyone were not happy with how they thought the world revolved around them, and even though they worked and studied hard to make good marks, they were still considered by the twins to be lazy liars who just cheated their way to catch up. The only good thing was that one of their own that graduated early always came to lighten things up and even shared some of his crazy stories as a Genin, to Chunin, and finally to Jonin. The students loved the stories as they were exciting and they even loved it when Naruto actually took the time out of his career to help them with their work and to silence the twins when they were acting their usual behavior. Naruto was like an idol to them, cool and strong and never losing his composure even under the most frustrating and tempting situations to strike. Hello everyone. The students then saw the very man in question. Naruto-san. They ran to greet him as they wanted to know if they are going to be on his team since they heard he was going to be an instructor. The suspense was to who was going to be his students. Before he could pick them out. Hey! Out of our way! Naruto saw that 2 of his students had finally arrived and late for the looks of it. Don't you know who we are? Keiji had yelled for his sister but before Naruto could answer. No one cares. Kiba had finally snapped. How come that we work hard to graduate? You could just lie about us and get us expelled from becoming shinobi all because you don't like us. The twins were not happy about being set back and were about to whine on Kiba when they heard someone clapping which was Naruto. Bravo Kiba-kun, I will definitely tell your mother about how you saved our sanity today. Naruto praised the Inuzuka heir and pretty soon, everyone clapped along which made the twins even more embarrassed. Whose side are you on? Mito yelled and everyone stopped clapping yet it was a good feeling for the twins as Naruto began to glare at them. Sides? I never choose sides when it comes to my team. That is nothing but favoritism which I will rather die than show it when I train my team. Naruto said calmly and yet. But we are the Hokage children, we deserve the best. Keiji said in an attempt to save face but everyone just shook their heads. What you deserve is what is really coming to you once you meet your father's enemies who will never stop to kill even kids that are spoiled brats like you. Naruto said as he grabbed them by the collar and turned to Hinata. Now I have got my 2 students, please join us Hinata-chan. The rest of the students were whining on how they ran out of luck especially the girls while the boys were given their sympathy to Naruto who had to train such brats for students. The girls even gave sympathy to Hinata who had to be one of the main targets to the twins during the academy. Much later, at a training ground, OW. Naruto had arrived with Hinata in tow while throwing the twins into one of the log posts that were already present at the site. When they tried to get up and complain, they somehow were restrained by something that cannot be seen. Now that we are here and settled, we can get to know each other since we can never know we are going to be killed on our missions. Naruto said while Hinata a seat on a log lying on its side in the grass. I will start. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, a jonin of Konohagakure. My dreams are to be the best I can ever be until I took the bucket, and hopefully have a family of my own before that happens. Hinata was wondering about how such a person like Naruto could be so overprepared that he will plan his own death wish this early in life. The twins were not even considering that wish, and still tried to get free. My likes are a certain girl and her younger sister, another certain girl growing on me like a sister, ramen, tea, peace, training and sunsets to share with my precious people. My dislikes are many and that includes self-centered spoiled brats like you. Hinata giggled at the jab at the twins. Now you try it. Naruto turned to the giggling girl next to him. My name is Hinata Hyuga, Genin of Konohagakure. My dreams are to finally bring my clan together and abolish the stupid tradition that is tearing my family apart, as well starting a family with a certain boy. Hinata started to say until a scuff was to be heard from Keiji. Like that could ever happen when you marry me, he said, but Mito jabbed him with her elbow. This was the one thing that she could never tolerate from her twin brother. Anyways, my likes are the certain boy, my younger sister, Urina, my clan, tea, cinnamon buns, romance and spring nights. Keiji was still holding his head up as he believes that Hinata was talking about him as the certain boy until, my dislikes are the twins, politics, spicy food and those who treat women in kunoichi as slaves and trophies. Naruto nodded and then turned to the twins who were getting tired of being tied to a log tightly, what with all the cramps and splitters. We don't need to say such private things with a team like you who wastes time with an unattractive bitch like you, Mito said, but since she was holding head the other way, she did not notice the smirk on Naruto and Hinata as well as the pale panicked expression on her twin brother. Is that what you think of us, Mito, eh? A voice belonging to an adult woman that had piqued Mito's curiosity, but she will soon regret looking to see her parents staring right in front of them. I hope you two don't mind inviting the Hokage and his wife to see you pass my test, Naruto said in a taunting tone that caused the twins to try and take back their words. Yet they were only given off with future punishment in taking away their favorite food and a salary cut once they start their missions. Now that mess was done, and the Hokage with his wife was now on the sidelines with glares still on their face. Now then, why test is very simple, Naruto said as he took out a timer. I will give you an hour to try and steal these bells from me. He started and took 2 bells attached to strings on his fingers. The ones who manage to gain a bell will pass to become an official genin, while the loser returns back to the academy. But that is not fair, Mito said. We are 3 people and there are only 2 bells. Naruto still smirked. Nice of you to point out the obvious when you should be thinking of a plan to get these bells from me, Naruto said in his new stern voice. Then he blew a whistle that had caused Hinata and Mito to scatter into the threes, leaving Keiji in the dust. Nice to see which twin actually has brains. Shut up. So what, one of us gets sent back to the academy? I am never going back. Keiji yelled in defiance and charged at Naruto, who smirked and caught the golden boy of Konoha. Then Naruto sent him packing into the ground. That is no good, Kuchan, Naruto said in a taunt that got the said boy all riled all over again. Naruto just enjoyed his team, reading his book while sending one of his students back and forth endlessly. Meanwhile, Hinata was enjoying the sight from within the trees. She giggled on how her boyfriend was always able to make the job look easy. All you do is teach and push your students around no matter how much they complain. Mito was in another tree a good distance away. I can't believe that my twin is such a baka. Mito, surprisingly, had a quiet tone despite having the reputation of a loud mouth in the academy that she used to get here point across. Does he really think that even though we are the royal twins, Sensei was a prodigy among the ninja arts? Mito was always the spoiled brat that had brains and a common sense corrupted by her vanity. Her thoughts were interrupted when Mito failed to notice that Naruto had launched her idiotic brother into her direction. They crashed on the ground hard and started to argue on what to do. Alas, Hinata still retained some of her shy nature, and she could bear get involved with this argument. Not after the many times Keiji harassed her, and even tried to kiss her until Naruto stopped him every time. Mito was the only one to actually tolerate out of the twins, since she was also the only one of the Namikaze clan to actually hit Keiji on the head for such behavior against women, since Mito had to listen to her brother say that he was the most important of the twins, since a female clan head was unheard of and not right in this shinobi world. Then the timer went off, signaling that they were out of time. Hinata and Mito were later sitting on either side of Keiji, who was tied to a middle slot log, and he wasn't happy about it. Hey! How come I'm all tied up? Let me go! Keiji yelled, but he's silenced by his sister, the only one aside from his parents that Keiji fears in Konoha. I am afraid that I can't do that because not one of you managed to gain one of these bells. To taunt them, Naruto had shown the 2 bells from the beginning, still in his hands. And because of that, I should fail you and send you all back to the academy, but since that will mean the Hokage will breathe down my neck, so I am going to give you one last test if you want to be trained by me. Let's get his over with. I am hungry. Mito dragged me from breakfast this morning. Keiji yelled and Mito blushed in embarrassment, since she was hungry too. Mito had thought that there was no time for breakfast, kind of ironic since she and Keiji were still late. Fine. I have brought 3 bentos for lunch, and since Hinata and Mito had shown much better tactic than you, Keiji, you are forbidden from eating, and if I see you eat anyways you will be the one sent back to the academy. Naruto said, and on cue, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Hinata and Mito then started to eat, while enjoying the delicious food while Keiji's stomach was growling. After a while, the 2 girls decided to take the risk and started to feed Keiji until Naruto appeared again along with the Hokage and his wife, staring down on them. I thought I told you never to feed Keiji, so why did you disobey me? Naruto said in a tone that wanted answers and not excuses. Because even though he is a sexist pig, he is my only brother, and I am not going to lose another one again. Mito yelled, much to the confusion of all but Naruto and Hinata. The former was smiling at that. Hinata didn't back down either, which made the blonde smile even more until he passed the verdict. Okay then. All I have to say to you all is that you Naruto dragged it to get them on edge. Pass. Team 7 was now confused with the expectation of Hinata. But Keiji was stuttering and Naruto laughed at the sight until Mito noticed that their parents had vanished like an illusion that was cancelled. I had to get you 2 and Hinata in ninjas, and what better way than to set the circumstances so that you will bring out your best qualities, some you never knew you had. It may seem that it never happened, but you stood up for each other despite on how you hate on and another. That is what a team is. There is no room for anything between teammates that can hinder their progress. You work with each other, back each other up, you are there for any teammate in need or trouble, and finally, pride or fear of trouble should never cause you to abandon your teammates. We have lost too many teams to greed and pride already, so we don't need for it to happen again. Team 7 was speechless after that speech while Naruto was untying Keiji from the log. Now everyone will hope that those words will get to the twins and make them see the error of their ways, but ninjas are not wish-granting genies, and if they were, I personally doubt that wish to change a person's personality will be granted. We all will just have to be patient. Good things always happen when we actually do. So for a few months, training his team was only enjoyable when it was just his Hinata he was teaching, and they also went on dates while the twins were busy boasting on what they had learned to their parents. Yurina was even playing and listening to the hijinks of Team 8 with Hanabi tells her, since Naruto had taught them to her as Hinata's younger sister. It was very lovely to see that Hanabi now had a playmate of her own age. Of course, we can never leave out the rest of how Team 8 went along. Mito was so vain, only bringing her makeup to missions to the point where that is the only thing she ever does when Naruto brings them outside the village for simple escort missions. On the other hand, she is also very bossy, even to the client who always had to listen to Naruto taking the blame and apologizing for the behavior. The Hokage did nothing to stop this disgrace, since he always told Naruto that Mito was the image of a prefect child. Then there is Keiji. All he ever did was show off and get into danger so he can convince Hinata to forget about her love and go to him. When that was failed, he always went after any other girls nearby, whatever in Konoha and any other village they visit on their missions. Of course, he was always rejected by the women who always knew better, so Keiji could only go after his fangirls, the last type of people he personally will go to when he had nowhere else to go. That is the definition of a playboy, and Keiji played it out very well. It was sickling. But right now, there were no missions. Just Naruto reporting to the Hokage's office in the Hokage Tower. Minato just wasn't happy with one of his jonin for some reason. Naruto Uzumaki, can you explain that in your report that you have been exclusively training a single student while leaving the rest of your team in the dust? Sir, you were the one who wanted Hinata-chan to catch up, and do you know how many times I asked your only children to help her out, and instead they only wanted to have their way with her? That is not teamwork, to take advantage of teammates. You can help all of us by suggesting yet another way to do this, Naruto said despite the increasing pressure at every word he spoke in the presence of the Hokage. I just don't why you hate my children, as they did nothing to deserve this. They are good children who will do such things. Minato and his wife were completely clueless about the behavior of the twins, since they never saw the real look on them that everyone does. Yes, they will, Hokage-sama. Can you also explain that I found a girl in the bush about to freeze to death claiming to be kicked your clan up till you kicked her out only because the twins told you? Some Hokage you are, Naruto said, changing the subject in Minato's eyes. I have no idea what you are talking about because my clan only has me, Kushina-chan, and our 2 only children. Minato was still ridiculously stubborn about all this. Back to the point, it is either that you will stop showing favoritism in your team, or you will be demoted and your team will be disbanded. Then who will train the twins when I do get demoted? You were the one who said that if I was going to be the Jonin sensei of this year, I get to stay with Hinata-chan, but instead you got us involved with this strict rule, and worse, you gave us the twins, the two that hate Hinata more than anything. Don't you have any consideration for your own Genin? Naruto said boldly, and Minato got even angrier. How dare you say such things? You were the one who fell for it, so you will have to pay the price. Minato threatened him, but Naruto was still smirking. Then demote me and get it over with, because I want to go on a date with Hinata-chan. I am sure that now the twins are Genin, they will still get training from you all despite how busy you can be. Naruto said, and Minato paused before returning to his seat with a sigh. Fine. Outside of training, you will be allowed to date this Hyuga girl you never stop talking about but anymore, and you are pushing it. Just make sure that the twins are still being trained. Minato yelled after a headache of a decision, and even wrote a paper that verifying it all to give to Naruto. Alright, sir. You won't be complaining anytime soon, but before I take my leave, Naruto said as he began to show his back to the Hokage, I have heard from the twins that Keiji wanted a brother and Mita wanted a sister, and yet they all said they haven't got their wish. That tone told Minato that Naruto wasn't done. When you see them, tell them that they are wrong. You don't need to lie to them anymore. Good evening, Hinata-chan. The said Kunoichi, who was wearing a fancy gown instead of her usual sweater while in the field, turned to her right only to see her boyfriend/Jonin teacher standing right there looking like an actual god in terms of how handsome he looked in that suit. Hinata soared through the sky after hearing that the Hokage had made an exemption to the rule stating that a teacher cannot date one of their students, just for them. The date went rather well. Naruto was able to arrive on time with Hinata for his reservation at one of the more expensive restaurants found in the village entirely. The food was delicious, and their conversations about how they were trying to enjoy their lives of having to deal with the twins brightened up with all the ways to prank them and make it look like an accident. That was pretty much the only thing good about the twins, was how they could bark but not bite. Much later, it was time to leave for home since it had gotten dark. I have had some much fun today. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Ever since Naruto had helped reduce her shyness, Hinata had shown a hidden affectionate side that even she didn't know she had. No problem, Hinata-chan. Let's just hit the hay and hope for another great date unless the Hokage goes back on his word. Naruto also had fun, but he had to blackmail the Hokage, the most powerful and important person in the village, into being allowed to date Hinata. There is no telling when Minato gets too clever for his own good and makes a loophole to get out of all this and prevent Naruto from going out with Hinata forever. Oh, Naruto-kun, I am not happy with any of this either. The Hokage lost my respect for lying to us all, but did you really had to tell him about you and Yurina? She had to suffer from them, and you want her to get involved with the Namake's clan again? Hinata was also outspoken about all this since she adored Yurina like a second younger sister and a prefect playmate for Hanabi. It will hurt them all to see that Yurina sad and have to go back to the clan that tossed her away like last week's garbage. Naruto said that sooner or later, he will have to tell the twins about what their parents lied to them about. Hopefully, they will see their mistake and put an end to all this everyday tension. That is, if the Hokage and his wife will make things more difficult instead, and like always. Meanwhile, in the home of the Namake's clan. Why did this have to happen? Minato was in bed early, thinking hard on what one of his best shinobi said to him about the twins. About how his son has a brother and daughter having a sister. Minato always thought that the twins had everything they can ask for in the village and for days to come. He made sure of it, but was he that ignorant of what they really wanted from the bottom of their hearts? Why didn't they tell him that at all? Did Minato and his wife really thought more of the village than their children? Minato-koi, the Hokage, was disturbed from his troublesome thoughts by the same beautiful woman that he fell for and married. Are you okay? The ANBU told me that you haven't arrived at the office this afternoon, and this is where you have been all this time? Minato sighed. He knew that Kushina still wanted the best for her husband, so it hurt a lot to make her worry. Sorry, Kushina-chan, I just don't feel like paperwork. I already had a headache from Naruto already. Kushina knew about all this too, but she seriously thought that Minato had thought this over a long time ago. She just stripped to more comfortable wear and joined her husband in bed while cuddling in with him. Just relax, Minato-koi. I am sure that with you in charge things will go well. Minato just sighed and shook his head that Kushina failed to notice. He had heard nasty rumors that his wife acted like a complete fangirl in the presence of her husband. This could make her ignorant of everything else around her for the sake of seeing herself the prefect wife to the most handsome man in the world. Thanks, but I never thought that the twins will not trust me anymore. I can't seem to be able to deny what Naruto told me about the twins wanting siblings of the same gender. Just how did Naruto know that if he wanted nothing to do with us? That was enough to knock some more sense into Kushina, and she looked down as a result. She did want a son and daughter to play with, but there was this thing in the back of her head that was a desire to see a big and responsible son for his cute and younger sister, but it was impossible for the twins, so what was all that? Something seems to be wrong. As the harder this couple tried to make sense of it, there was a trail of strange ink trailing down their necks. They just don't notice, or the strange glow in the ink as it receded back up to the back of their heads as the pair of parents fell asleep. Later that next day, Team 8 were told that they were going to have a special test to improve their skills. The twins wanted nothing more than to ridicule both Hinata and Naruto because they still harbor their spoiled nature, even Mito, who seemed to be well on her way to become a much better person. Anyways, the team arrived on time where Naruto was waiting with a timer for some reason. And then, without warning, Naruto disappeared along with his team's headbands. The twins noticed it and panicked. Still, Hinata tried to get their attention but realized something. She couldn't hear herself speak. "Hey, speak up, Nibaka. I can't hear you." Hinata then saw that Mito was yelling at Keiji, who acted like he suddenly wore a blindfold. "Why can't I get his thing off my eyes so I can see your ugly face to pound Mito?" Mito and Hinata were confused as Keiji's yes were in reality open, but there was not pupil in them, just all white. There was real chaos, but then a timer was heard, and yet they weren't aware when a pair of hands grabbed them all and took them to a row of 3 logs where Keiji and Mito were tied to while Hinata just sat on them. "Hey, let us go, and why is everyone all quiet?" Mito yelled as she tried to get freed from the ropes. "Yeah. Let us go, wherever you are." Keiji yelled too, like he was in fact blinded, but Mito just wasn't convinced. "What do you mean, Nibaka? Sensei team is right in front of us." Mito yelled back, and the two went back to arguing while Hinata was trying to figure out why she couldn't speak until all 3 genin felt something buzz in their heads. "I am afraid that I can't do that, students. This is only necessary in order for you to understand this better for both me and Hinata. It was Naruto, and he was talking with telepathy. Ever since Hokage-sama had tricked me into training you two when he promised that I will be training a team with Hinata-chan, I devoted myself to learn everything I can under just 2 years. It was hard work, and you should know that if you want to be as great as your parents, they never did have the pleasures that you are taking for granted." "But what is going on here? Why can't I even hear myself speak or anything else?" Mito yelled, and Naruto smirked. "What do you think of my Fushi no Nenten Jutsu? I personally came up with it." That sparked realization in the genin's heads, so Naruto continued. "Based on the philosophy of the 3 wise monkeys, one shouldn't hear evil, one shouldn't see evil, and one shouldn't speak evil." Naruto then turned to Keiji. "You always wanted to stare and ogle at my girlfriend, but now you can't look at any other girl with lust." Then Naruto turned to Mito. "You always were tired of listening to your idiotic twin brother, but now you can never listen to anyone." Finally, Naruto looked at Hinata with a remorseful expression. "And you were always shy to get your point across, and now you can't even speak from your heart. I am sorry, Hinata-chan." "Alright. Enough with this mushy stuff. Teachers aren't even allowed to be with their students. You sure are stupid to fall for that." Keiji had to ruin the moment, and he got what is coming when Hinata suddenly struck him on the head and Mito screamed into his ear as punishment. "While we will ignore that, and you will remember to mind your own business, Kuchan," the girls were trying to hide their giggling, or in Hinata's case, the movements of it. "This genjutsu was made in order to help train, since on a team, they are doomed when one can't keep secrets to themselves." Naruto looked at Keiji. "One cannot listen to others until they get killed for recklessness or being rebellious." Naruto had glanced at Mito, who was beginning to look bad for this. "And one can't speak out until an ambush finishes the team off before they could even see them coming. That is to be the harsh twist of irony that comes with the ninja job, and I hope that me training you like this will help you become even better people." "Damn you! Why did you have to be our teacher? We had better ones back before the academy. Keiji just won't shut up about all this. Hey, even I lose my temper." "No, you didn't. They hated you too, Keiji and Mito." The twins felt like a shiver down their backs. They all felt like the entire academy loved them like everyone else in the village, but to find out that they were actually hated really shook them to the core. Their parents told them every single day that they were heroes, and no one hates heroes. They only wanted to teach kids who want to become shinobi to be ready for all the blood and gore that comes with the job, but you two treated them all like trash. You made your betters feel unneeded, and especially where they want to be the most. That is not what heroes do. Surprising for the twins, not one of them even retorted, but Naruto and Hinata saw that the twins had tears in their eyes. Something that neither the blonde nor the Hyuga had ever saw in the heirs. "We know." Keiji said that with complete sadness in his tone. "Just tell us why our parents never told us that, and why they told us to act like stupid brats. They said that it was okay to do it, and we punished if we acted otherwise." Now Naruto and Hinata were surprised and shocked at this. They never knew about this at all. There was no reason for parents to punish their children if they were not acting bratty and spoiled. It made no sense at all, and no one noticed that the ropes on the twins had loosed up, letting the former captives go, but they still didn't react to it. "Don't worry." Naruto was using his mouth this time, and it seemed to be because the genjutsu was left. Keiji saw his teacher with a look of understanding rather than pity, Mito hear his worried voice, and Hinata could just whisper smoothing words to the twins. They tried to control your view of the world, but now you are ninjas, you make the choice to see the world as you like. Keiji and Mito didn't feel like saying anything. If they can't trust their teacher, then who can they trust anymore? Just remember that what separates us from being craved into stone. That stone never changes, we do. Stone just crumbles, but we don't. We endure what is thrown at us, and we evolve to face it again, only stronger and better than before. We always change to fit the changes in our lives. Naruto wisely said to the twins. They may have been headaches, but they were still his students. If you feel like making your own choices, then do it. You are ninjas, and that is one of the things ninjas do best. The twin just did the unthinkable. As soon as that inspiring speech had ended, Keiji embraced Naruto, while Mito embraced Hinata. Just tell us how to change. Keiji muttered through a hiccup. Yeah. We want to have friends and we want to change into better people, but they won't tell us how. Mito finished. That helped Hinata and Naruto connect the dots. The twins were just two poor kids modeled into spoiled brats on fear and desire to make their ignorant parents look at them. In short, they were neglected just like the siblings they don't know existed. But that is all about to change, and Naruto will see to that it does of die trying. And so, a few months had passed like a leaf in the morning wind. The twins and Hinata sure came a long way under Naruto's leadership. Hinata did the most, as she was pretty much at Naruto's level of skill, while the twins could not be compared to anyone but themselves, and that was fine with them. All that therapy and exposure to the darker side of a shinobi life was unorthodox but effective anyway. After the basics of tree walking and water walking to improve chakra control, they went to the more moderate stuff. This included learning more advanced jutsu, each centering on the basic 5 elements that make up nature that a shinobi is capable of interacting with as well using it in battle. But energy wasn't existing just for warfare. They can do more than battle and fight. They can protect, and they can alter the surroundings to solve problems and remove any obstacles. For fire, to be able to burn away anything that stands in your way. To cause heat for the cold and provide light to the dark. For water, to be able to wash anything that will blind your vision. To supply all life in the world. To provide a home for those who can't breathe the air. For air, to be able to cut down anything that comes to cause you harm. To spread the seeds of beginnings. To cause weather that will affect the environment. To create storms to vanquish your foes. For lightning, to be able to turn your blunders to dust. To power lights and create comminutions. To move at speeds rivaling that of pure light. For earth, to be able to take anything with pure strength. To manipulate the qualities of stone and gravel and rock. To create from the very surroundings. Those are how these 5 elements maintain their own part of nature. When they combine and form new elements, then any form of life can survive. These new forces of nature can work in the same way as the basic ones. They are just too much to list in one go. Despite how complicated it is to understand all this, the way to discover what to train with was actually quite easy once Naruto had finally allowed his team to try out one day. When he gave them pieces of paper, like he's doing now. What are these for, sensei? Keiji asked. Training was always what he loved, but after seeing how the smarty pants he calls them fight, let's just say it was enough to interest him. They are chakra paper. They are made from a very rare tree whose bark make it well known because depending on the element a shinobi can use the best, the bark will respond to it. Naruto answered. How? For example. Naruto just said, and he took one for himself, and while it was lodged in the 2 fingers he uses the most, it got sliced in half with the 2 pieces burning off and wrinkled. That was only 3 of the results that can happen to the paper. When it got cut in half, it meant that my first and primary element is wind. The one that burst into flames meant fire, and the other that wrinkled meant lightning. Wow! But what about the other 2? Mito shouted until she got serious again, and Naruto chuckled. Of course. When the paper becomes soggy, then it means water, and when the paper crumbles like rocks or dirt, then it means earth. Naruto finished, and the genin all nodded. So they focused their raw chakra into the paper on the blonde's instructions. Hinata's damped and crumbled, water and earth. Keiji's wrinkled, lightning. Mito's damped as well, water too. So it was clear on how to train them. For Hinata, the Suiton, Mizurappa for offense, and the Doton, Dorikigeshi for defense. For Keiji, the Right-un, Reijutsuga for both offense and supplementary. And for Mito, Suiro no Jutsu for both defense and supplementary. They all took to their jutsu with great skill and enthusiasm. Naruto promised to train them further once they beat him in a battle, 3-on-1 with those jutsu they just learned. This got them so excited, they couldn't sleep, so they practiced until they couldn't get off the ground, and so far, they have yet achieved their goal. Naruto doesn't hold back even on his girlfriend. That was just fine when you find yourself as an instructor dating one of his students. And that was format for the past few weeks until they mastered their new jutsu and the art of the ninja fighting field. Are you sure about this, sensei? Keiji asked in a nervous tone. It took weeks of hated glares to cool his ego down, and now he had turned into a confident but modest boy as well as a worrywart. Meeting Hinata-san's younger sister and your own younger sister? They may not want to see us. You always told us that you wanted an older brother and a younger sister. If you want that wish to come true, then you need to trust us on this. Since we shinobi die so early, you need all the friends and ranks as you can. Especially with those who look up to you as heroes and want to be like you. Naruto said in his teacher-type tone. Right, sensei. Mito had long known that it was useless to argue with a teacher like Naruto ever since they first opened up to both him and his student/girlfriend. They have just arrived at Naruto's home and Hinata's second home, and now they were entering through the door. Inside, Hanabi and Yurina were playing in the living room happily along until they noticed the draft from the open door. Hi, big brother. They both said to Naruto, hi, big sis. As well as Hinata while ignoring the distant looks on their guest. The girls were just focused on the fact that Naruto and Hinata were home early. Until Yurina happened to see them and hide behind Naruto. Even after this time, she still was afraid of the royal twins. Then Hanabi also noticed them too. Why are they here? They hurt Yurina-chan. I understand, Hanabi-chan, but if they do hurt anyone else in this house, I will see to them as their sensei. Naruto said, which caused the girls to gasp. They never knew who was else in the team that Naruto was teaching. They just giggled innocently at their big brother blushing when he explained that one of his students was also his girlfriend. They were told that it was rule that teachers and students shouldn't date. The girls scolded Naruto for breaking rules like a bad boy. They are just here until it is dinner time, so they won't stay long. Naruto assured the girls, and they left the living room to play in one of the spare rooms where Naruto places the toys that he gets from the girls. The twins just sighed at the sight of the girls avoiding them and fleeing from their presence. Now take a sit at the table, we have a lot to discuss. Later that day, closer to dinner time. Hello, Keiji and Mito. How was your day? Kushina asked despite not facing them as she washed the dishes. The twins just ignored her as usual now. They were not stupid. They saw that despite their presence clear to their parents, the Hokage and his wife acted like they were a childless couple living their lives. It was just fine. We got to learn about elemental ninjutsu. Keiji started. Yeah, Naruto-sensei promised us some of those ninjutsu once we mastered water walking. Mito finished with a small half-lie. It was undeniable that Naruto did promise them like that. It was just that he also asked the twins to keep the fact they are practicing the elements from the parents. It was because the Hokage and his wife could pretty much separate them again once they find out how far they all had gotten under his teachings. The twins didn't want to even imagine being taken from their sensei and his girlfriend, who was a great teammate to them. Oh. Okay then, dinner will be ready in an hour once I get these dishes clean and leaving them to dry. I just wish that Naruto will hurry up because I have been hearing from Minato-kun that the other teams are more ahead than your team is. Kushina said and didn't notice the sad grins on their faces. It turned out that Kushina will believe anything the twins will say, no doubt about it. That was one of the factors to Naruto's bad history with her and her husband. Now the twins are feeling guiltier about it than before. During dinner, it was all no different. Neither one of the twins will even as much as talk to their parents. What is wrong, babies? You don't look very happy and you barely touched your food. Kushina finally took her eyes from her plate and placed them on the twins and finally noticed that they were indeed not very happy about something. Mom, please tell us the truth. We have other siblings besides ourselves, right? Mito begged of Kushina and Keiji joined. Please, Mom. Please be honest. Now this has gotten even the attention of the Hokage himself. I keep telling you, my children. You are the only kids we ever had and that is all we can ask for? Kushina said, but Keiji suddenly slammed his fist on the table, ignoring how it hurts. I told you to stop lying. Why are you still not telling us the truth? Keiji got up from his seat and shook the table, scattering the food and leaving a mess everywhere. Do you really not take our words seriously? Just what are we to you? Young man, you will not talk to your mother that way. If you can't accept her answer, then maybe you should go to your room. Minato yelled as he won't let anyone disobey or backtalk in front of his wife, not even his own children. Then why are you still lying to us? We are not stupid anymore, we know that we have a big brother. Why else did you raise us to bully Naruto if he was a stranger to us all? Keep him in our home if he was a stranger? Let us bully and hurt him if he was a stranger. Why? Keiji shouted and until he was hit hard on the cheek. By Kushina. How dare you question our parenting? If you don't like how we raise our children, then you have no right to remain in our clan. Kushina then covered her mouth when she realized what she had said and it had gone too far. So that is it, huh? Keiji got up even with the slap mark clear as day, red in his flesh. If we do something, even a little something or become a little something, then we are nothing to you. Nothing but trash to be thrown away on cleaning day. In this case it was that day years ago, and if you want your heirs then don't make today that same day. Naruto-sensei was right about you all along. I hate you! Keiji ranted and then ran up to his bedroom that he shared with his twin. Speaking of which, Mito ignored her parents begging for forgiveness and went up to the same room, leaving the Hokage and his wife to stay in the dining room among the mess they made, literally. It was the end of the rope for the twins, hot water for the parents, and the moment of truth for everyone that is involved, whatever they wanted to or not. All we can do is hope there is very little bloodshed when the climax comes around the corner uninvited. Previously on Cracking Gaps, Sins of a Family. Later that day, closer to dinner time. Hello Keiji and Mito. How was your day? Kushina asked despite not facing them as she washed the dishes. The twins just ignored her as usual now. They were not stupid. They saw that despite their presence clear to their parents, the Hokage and his wife acted like they were a childless couple living their lives. It was just fine. We got to learn about elemental ninjutsu. Keiji started. Yeah, Naruto-sensei promised us some of those ninjutsu once we mastered water walking. Mito finished with a small half-lie. It was undeniable that Naruto did promise them like that. It was just that he also asked the twins to keep the fact they are practicing the elements from the parents. It was because the Hokage and his wife could pretty much separate them again once they find out how far they all had gotten under his teachings. The twins didn't want to even imagine being taken from their sensei and his girlfriend who was a great teammate to them. Oh. Okay then, dinner will be ready in an hour once I get these dishes clean and leaving them to dry. I just wish that Naruto will hurry up because I have been hearing from Minato-kun that the other teams are more ahead than your team is. Kushina said and didn't notice the sad grins on their faces. It turned out that Kushina will believe anything the twins will say, no doubt about it. That was one of the factors to Naruto's bad history with her and her husband. Now the twins are feeling guiltier about it than before. During dinner, it was all no different. Neither one of the twins will even as much as talk to their parents. What is wrong, babies? You don't look very happy and you barely touched your food. Kushina finally took her eyes from her plate and placed them on the twins and finally noticed that they were indeed not very happy about something. Mom, please tell us the truth. We have other siblings besides ourselves, right? Mito begged of Kushina and Keiji joined. Please, Mom. Please be honest. Now this has gotten even the attention of the Hokage himself. I keep telling you, my children. You are the only kids we ever had and that is all we can ask for? Kushina said, but Keiji suddenly slammed his fist on the table, ignoring how it hurts. I told you to stop lying. Why are you still not telling us the truth? Keiji got up from his seat and shook the table, scattering the food and leaving a mess everywhere. Do you really not take our words seriously? Just what are we to you? Young man, you will not talk to your mother that way. If you can't accept her answer, then maybe you should go to your room. Minato yelled as he won't let anyone disobey or backtalk in front of his wife, not even his own children. Then why are you still lying to us? We are not stupid anymore. We know that we have a big brother. Why else did you raise us to bully Naruto if he was a stranger to us all? Keep him in our home if he was a stranger? Let us bully and hurt him if he was a stranger. Why? Keiji shouted and until he was hit hard on the cheek. By Kushina. How dare you question our parenting? If you don't like how we raise our children, then you have no right to remain in our clan. Kushina then covered her mouth when she realized what she had said and it had gone too far. So that is it, huh? Keiji got up even with the slap mark clear as day, red in his flesh. If we don't do something, even a little something or become a little something, then we are nothing to you. Nothing but trash to be thrown away on cleaning day. In this case it was that day years ago, and if you want your heirs then don't make today that same day. Naruto-sensei was right about you all along. I hate you! Keiji ranted and then ran up to his bedroom that he shared with his twin. Speaking of which, Mito ignored her parents begging for forgiveness and went up to the same room, leaving the Hokage and his wife to stay in the dining room among the mess they made, literally. It was the end of the rope for the twins, hot water for the parents, and the moment of truth for everyone that is involved, whatever they wanted to or not. All we can do is hope there is very little bloodshed when the climax comes around the corner uninvited. You told your own parent you hate them? Naruto asked while at the team's favorite place to go between training and missions. But Keiji and Mito just weren't in the mood for either. They were feeling a little guilty for yelling at their parents. They were the only family they have. No uncles, no aunts, no cousins or even any siblings other than each other, or do they? Yes, Naruto-sensei, we just couldn't take it anymore. Keiji said in a low voice, the complete opposite of the loud and obnoxious boy that he was in the academy. This must hit harder than it looks. Yes, we wanted just one thing and yet our parents just give us toys, flowers and all the training in the world. They made us accept them instead of wanting a brother or a sister. They just wanted us to be spoiled. Mito said, ignoring the tears falling down her cheeks. She just felt like a girl who saw her favorite doll take apart only to find out that her parents stole it and left the debit on her. Hinata hugged Mito when it was clear that the latter was on the verge of crying. It took a while, but starting a few days ago, Hinata had finally gotten to be good friends with Mito and Namikaze. It seemed that Naruto's efforts, including that illusion he cast over them, to tune their behavior down a lot of levels, had finally shown some results. Keiji just looked at his only sister and forgot about the blind pride he showed in the academy to hug her too. It was a relief to see twins who hated everyone including each other finally get along, and even show some work in getting onto everyone's good sides after their former history of alienating the academy students and the other adults throughout the village. Listen guys, Naruto said after a long and pregnant silence, I don't want you to think that you should average each other from what the Hokage and his wife had did to us all. It is no different than going against everything you ever worked for, all for some stupid desire to rid yourself of feelings you are too afraid to face on your own. That is the difference then in Avengers and those who take revenge for themselves. We are not afraid, Keiji said into Naruto's face. We are not weak. We will do this. We will pull through, just you see. Mito felt like something in her chest was warming up and she felt like she was flying in the sky as if she suddenly turned into a bird. Naruto-sensei, you really are a miracle worker. I want you for an older brother and Keiji and I-san, you desire him as the same. Mito thought as she steeled her nerves and stood up from weeping to face Naruto and anything else that comes to bring her down. What no one noticed was a shooting star that was so bright that it was able to be spotted by the forest creatures even though the sun was at its brightest that day. Maybe someone up there really did have a change of heart. If only everyone down below will be patient enough to allow the chance of redemption show itself around that faraway corner, no change arrives by itself. After a couple more months of training and D-rank chores. And that is why we like to go on our first C-rank. It is about time we give my team so outdoor experience, Naruto said while in the office of the Hokage at the Hokage's tower. And for what reason do you think that my children are ready for this? You are treading on thin ice here, Naruto, Minato said in a stern tone. Hey! We have done over 200 of these stupid chores. We all are bored of it. Keiji had gotten his loud personally back, but he instead used it when simple clam talking had gotten anywhere in any conversation. We need to get out of the village before we all get mad from it all. Why can't you just stop worrying about us and let us become real shinobi? Mito took her turn yelling at their father, who sighed very hard. Fine, fine. Send in the next client, Tazuna-san. Minato found it hard to admit, even to the face of his own wife, that he was wrapped around Mito's little finger. He just can't help it since Mito is like his little princess. When the door opened, Team 7 saw their latest client and the one for their first C-rank mission. Tazuna is a gray-haired, bespectacled man with a large beard and dark eyes. He wore a sleeveless V-neck shirt with an obi, pants and a pair of sandals. He also carried a towel around his neck and wore a pointed hat on his head. This are the shinobi I asked for. They are nothing but a bunch of little kids. But that big guy looks promising and that girl has a great fig. He stopped when a kunai just barely missed him and instead shattered his bottle of sake he had on hand. We may be kids, but we are still shinobi, and if the Hokage won't tolerate such poor examples for your age, then I will. Tazuna-san, Naruto said with his hand outward and his eyes covered in black. That made him the culprit who nearly scared Tazuna so badly, he was wet in the space between his legs. Alright. YYUW will J just H have T to D do, Tazuna said, stuttering almost as bad as Hinata when she is blushing a rose red and when she was embarrassed. Team 7 snickered at his misery and misfortune. They love their teacher. He makes them laugh and have a good time no matter what it seems. Later, Team 7 went on their way with Tazuna in hand and went in the direction of the client's home, Nami no Kuni. It was located on the border of Hai no Kuni and Mizu no Kuni. According to Tazuna, this country has no shinobi like the main shinobi lands. They don't even have samurai. They are just a freestyle trading hub for the other countries, complete with expert bridge builders and fishermen. But while Team 7 and Tazuna were walking down the paved path, Naruto noticed something that only an amateur genjutsu user can make. There were puddles on the path despite it being a rather dry week and far away from any other water source. But if they think that they can fool Naruto, then so be it. Sensei! Team 7 shouted out when they saw two brothers emerge as if out of nowhere and butchered their sensei right in front of their eyes. One down, one of them said. He had shoulder-length, wild dark brown hair and dark eyes. He wears a rebreather that covers the lower half of his face and a large, clawed, poisonous gauntlet on his right arm which had a chain coming out of it that had the other end attached to his brother's own gauntlet. He wore a camouflage suit with bandages around his waist, dark-colored, knee-length sandals and a ragged black cape. His forehead protector had a single horn on it. 4 more to go. The other sneered along as if they were twins, conjoined in mind. He had shoulder-length, wild dark brown hair and dark eyes. He wears a rebreather that covers the lower half of his face and a large, clawed, poisonous gauntlet on his left arm which had a chain coming out of it that had the other end attached to his brother's own gauntlet. He wore a camouflage suit with bandages around his waist, dark-colored, knee-length sandals and several pouches around his waist. His forehead protector had 2 horns on it. They all thought that Team 7 was just going to drop dead and throw away Tazuna like that. They were wrong when they turned to face their new targets. That was when Keiji had shown some speed from right-on training and struck the first one with enough momentum to send him flying. Right-on, Reijutsuga. Keiji was not going to let his prey get away and brought the first assassin down with a surge of lightning. Gozu! You bastard! Drop dead! The second assassin shouted and just barely recovered from that sudden attack on his partner just to charge at Keiji. Suiro no Jutsu. The assassin had stopped dead hard against a dome of water, strengthened by raw chakra surging through. That impact and recall had caused the assassin to twitch and shake in his place, the perfect chance for a sneak attack. Doton, Dora Kageshi. The assassin just stood in his place even after the solid ground he was standing on had suddenly lifted like pages from a book. He couldn't help himself when the slab of dirt had caused him to crash hard into the ground behind him with the chunk of earth landing right on him. That was enough to knock him out just like with his partner that he called Gozu. Team 7 then took them both and found a good tree to tie them with rope. But what about your dead sensei? Tazuna was frozen in fear about all this but was wondering why Team 7 could do this so casually until he followed their thumbs pointing to, instead of flesh and bone, chunks of wood lying on the ground. It was like a log had come out of nowhere and was given a poor chopping job. What did we tell you, Tazuna-san? We Konoha shinobi are more than capable of protecting you. Tazuna then saw Naruto just walk out of the woods, like nothing had happened and he was just hiding instead. After getting his desired hits from his worried team, Naruto faced Tazuna somehow fully healed. Now please explain why the Oni Kyodai will waste their time and risk getting caught just to try and kill you. They are Chunin level missing shinobi and they are not part of a simple escort C-rank mission. Tazuna then had to take the staring of Team 7 who joined their sense in order to further enhance their glares. They too wanted answers. This is more like a B-rank escort mission. Tazuna then confessed that he has these missing nin after him because of a man hiring them, Gato of Gato Incorporated. He is one of the world's wealthiest men and owned a very productive enterprise over smaller businesses. Tazuna's village just had to be Gato's favorite place to suck dry as if a weed in a garden. That was why Tazuna was only able to afford a C-rank mission in order to protect him. Being a bridge builder, if he finished his latest project then Gato's holdover Nami no Kuni will die. But Gato was more than greedy, he was clever and knew of the threat Tazuna posed to his rule. That is the basis of why an old man had assassins on his head. Tazuna then begged for the mission to go on because he has no money left to save his town. Ultimately, Naruto had ended the old man's begging for mercy and forgiveness by saying he has a good guy complex stronger than he was. But his team knew that was just an excuse to be the good guy and forget the rules to help a country that just happened to be on their borders. And so, they took a boat ride until they had to walk on land once again. But when Keiji got scolded for striking a rabbit, Naruto realized that action actually was a signal never to be found. Duck. He directed his team and climbed to hit the dirt, and just in time for a large object to move in the air like a fast-paced boomerang that was embedded in one of the trees. I wanted a little more blood. You raised your team too good, Konoha. A voice had pierced the air and even made the natural mist so thick that it was nearly hard to see. Despite all that, Naruto kept his cool and saw the one person who tried to kill his team clearly. Zabuza Momochi. A-rank missing nin from Kirigakure. Former member of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Shishininshu. The Kirigakure no Kijin. Naruto said, and once his team got a good look, they were nearly scared out of their heads. Zabuza was a tall and noticeably muscular man with pale skin, short spiky black hair, brown eyes, and small eyebrows. He was normally seen wearing bandages like a mask over the bottom half of his face. Under his mask, he had a relatively narrow jawline and jagged teeth, a trait he shared with his fellow swordsmen. He wore his forehead protector sideways on his head, and prior to his defection from Kirigakure, donned the village's umbu uniform and flak jacket. After his defection, and during his first appearance, he was seen shirtless, with his chest only covered by a belt to which he attached his kubikuri bocho, wearing baggy pants with the striped pattern typical of Kirigakure and mimetic wrist warmers extending up to his elbows, with matching leg warmers. And one of the things that made the Genin wary of Zabuza was the Kubikiribochu itself. The blade has two cutouts, a circle close to the top and a semicircular one nearer the handle that aptly fit the sword's purpose of decapitation. The latter notch allows a strap to be wrapped around the weapon, making it easier for the user to carry. It seems that my reputation precedes me even after how I was run out of my home for trying to save it. Don't you dare try to say there is a better way than I did in hopes to save my village, Zabuza said until he shouted like he wanted to beat what Team 7 was going to say next. Anyway, I get to face the infamous Twisted Eye of Konoha, eh? The one Jonin who set the new record as the youngest Jonin, and your skill in ninjutsu and other shit are just dandy, but one time, one of your genjutsu actually killed someone on its own. I am scared. That should be sarcastic, but Zabuza might say that way by accident. He really meant it because once he started shaking, he kept that up. Team, this will hit harder than when I got you guys together. If I fall, never forget what I have trained you and try to get Tazuna to safety. Naruto said, that is what shinobi really do. Naruto said like he wanted his team to abandon him for the sake of the village. But something else happened, and it was something that was going to be craved into the hearts like the picture on a stone tablet. Hi sensei. They instead steeled their glaze and their chakra so much that it was leaking out a near-solid glow. It was like Zabuza's killer intent and Kirigakyu no Jutsu couldn't bring them down. What a team! At the Hokage Tower in Konoha. What are you saying, Hokage-sama? Mighty Guy, one of Konoha's Jonin that specializes in taijutsu, asked while freaking everyone out. Guy is a tall and well-built man with high cheekbones, thick eyebrows and black hair cut in a bowl style. Guy wears a green jumpsuit, orange striped leg warmers and the standard Konoha flak jacket. His forehead protector is on a red cloth and is worn around his waist, like a belt. His hair also had the shape of his signature bowl style, though a bit longer and shaggier, framing the side of his face. As for freaking everyone for asking a question like everyone else, you see that Mighty Guy was the loudest man in Konoha. It ripped everyone's earbuds to listen to him rant and yell about the flames of youth all day, non-stop. But that all changed for the better when Naruto became Jonin and was acquainted with Guy. Let's just say that it took only a few minutes for Naruto to trick Guy into speaking a lot calmer and to threaten him into becoming sterile and mute if it ever happened again. Who knew that a boy 3 times younger than Mighty Guy could be so sadist and yet a savior to everyone's ears? But all that was merely over half a year ago, and after hearing Guy's ranting for years was a hard habit to get over. Back to the meeting now, but I thought that when you assigned your youthful children to Naruto-kun, there won't be a problem. I know Guy, but we have discussed just last night, and we were told that the C-rank mission has turned into an A rank. We need Team 7 back and as soon as possible. That is why I am giving Team 9 this job to bring my children back and give them a real C-rank mission. Minato said, and Guy sighed. Both Jonin were great friends and even thought Guy was an eccentric Jonin. He was able to raise a fully successful team in just 1 year. To do this means that Guy was thinking that Naruto was a poor excuse for a teacher to allow all this to happen. If only this was easier for everyone involved, then the world will be happier. At the Hokage Tower in Konoha. What are you saying, Hokage-sama? Mighty Guy, one of Konoha's Jonin that specializes in taijutsu, asked while freaking everyone out. Guy is a tall and well-built man with high cheekbones, thick eyebrows and black hair cut in a bowl style. Guy wears a green jumpsuit, orange striped leg warmers and the standard Konoha flak jacket. His forehead protector is on a red cloth and is worn around his waist, like a belt. His hair also had the shape of his signature bowl style, though a bit longer and shaggier, framing the side of his face. As for freaking everyone for asking a question like everyone else, you see that Mighty Guy was the loudest man in Konoha. It ripped everyone's earbuds to listen to him rant and yell about the flames of youth all day, non-stop. But that all changed for the better when Naruto became Jonin and was acquainted with Guy. Let's just say that it took only a few minutes for Naruto to trick Guy into speaking a lot calmer and to threaten him into becoming sterile and mute if it ever happened again. Who knew that a boy 3 times younger than Mighty Guy could be so sadist and yet a savior to everyone's ears? But all that was merely over half a year ago, and after hearing Guy's ranting for years was a hard habit to get over. Back to the meeting now, but I thought that when you assigned your youthful children to Naruto-kun, there won't be a problem. I know Guy, but we have discussed just last night, and we were told that the C-rank mission has turned into an A rank. We need Team 7 back and as soon as possible. That is why I am giving Team 9 this job to bring my children back and give them a real C-rank mission. Minato said, and Guy sighed. Both Jonin were great friends and even thought Guy was an eccentric Jonin. He was able to raise a fully successful team in just 1 year. To do this means that Guy was thinking that Naruto was a poor excuse for a teacher to allow all this to happen. If only this was easier for everyone involved, then the world will be happier. So why the sensei of team is called the Twisted Eye anyways, Guy-sensei? Tenten of Team 9 had to ask. She was a woman that has black hair and steel gray eyes. She wears her hair in Chinese-style buns on either side of her head with short fringe bangs falling over her forehead protector, which she wears in the traditional manner. Tenten wears a pink sleeveless jipao-style blouse with red sleeve trimmings and yellow fastening buttons, as well as dark green pants, a pouch adjusted to her thigh, and standard blue ninja sandals. Her appearance is a reference to the Chinese culture of a growing girl. Tenten is training with her weapons in hopes of becoming a weapons master, a female one at that, to prove that woman can be as good shinobi as any man. That is why she idolizes Tsunade of the Konoha Sannin, who became the world's strongest and best medical shinobi. Yeah, Guy-sensei. I heard that Naruto-san had gotten that nickname ever since he broke the record as the youngest jonin in our village's history. Rock Lee, also of Team 9, shouted in response to that first question. He even helped me with my problem before I was assigned to you, Guy-sensei. Lee was a man who possesses very thick eyebrows and large, rounded black eyes with prominent lower eyelashes. After joining Mike Guy's team, his appearance changed considerably to emulate his idol and sensei. His hair is now cut and styled into a bowl cut style like Guy, and he also began wearing the same attire, consisting of a green jumpsuit, orange leg warmers, and a red forehead protector worn as a belt. The only difference in his attire were the bandages he regularly wears around his hands and wrists, which also cover a set of stitches on his left hand, a trait that was due to his rigorous taijutsu training. Lee also was a man who proved to have no talent in ninjutsu or genjutsu whatsoever because of a birth defect that prevented him from supposedly modeling chakra into jutsu, but Naruto knew better. The defect only prevented Lee from releasing the chakra from his body, and it is still being generated. The blonde taught him how to still use chakra in Lee's taijutsu by using it to enhance his attributes and increase his strength, speed, and agility. That was how Lee heard of Naruto's nickname. It is because Naruto-san is not only a prodigy in ninjutsu but also genjutsu. His illusions take on many forms and directly attacks the senses and even the living brain. What is more, Naruto-san even took an interest in general autonomy, which includes human. That is how he knows to use his chakra for his illusions. Niji, the final member of Team 9, answered. It was no surprise, since he used to think that only those born in clans were the only ones worthy of becoming prodigies, but Naruto had proved him wrong. As a result, Niji foolishly tried to challenge the blonde jonin but lost to Naruto's illusions, which had hindered Niji's ability to fight, or even use his chakra. That was how fearsome Niji learned that Naruto truly was. Niji was a man that had fair skin and long black hair. When his Byakugan, his eye-based bloodline power, was not active, he has featureless white eyes. Niji wore a khaki shirt, a dull blue shirt beneath that, and mesh armor beneath that. He wore dark brown shorts, blue shinobi sandals, and wrapped bandages around his right arm, chest, and right leg. He tied his hair back in a loose ponytail tied a few inches above the end. He wore a black forehead protector, under which a smaller headband with two straps that framed around his head. Despite being outdone and beaten from explaining to Tenten, Guy was still proud of Niji. It turned out that being utterly defeated by Naruto had humbled Niji to a margin that the former was starting to act alike, more modest and respectful to his other teammates, and the rest of his peers. Exactly, Niji. That is why he is called the Twisted Eye, because his genjutsu ranged from not only his hands but also his eyes. I once heard that Naruto even cast a genjutsu from his right eye, and that shinobi who happened to Naruto's prey had confessed to everything despite being known as a hard-minded shinobi who got his own reputation from resisting mind-walking techniques and even the truth serum. That was when Naruto-san had gotten his nickname. Guy had finished his lecture when he realized that they were right in Wave Country, but there was no battle. Instead, there was something out of a war zone. With trees and the earth looking like an earthquake had passed through, and the event nearby lake was acting stormy. It was something that not even Guy had ever seen until. Sensei, I see Team 7 and they are at a humble house several meters in that direction. And I can see civilians in that home, Niji said with his Byakugan activated. That told them that they had missed the fight between Naruto and the one thing that made the Hokage send them out of their way in the first place. Okay then, team, let's go and see if Naruto-san can fill us in on what is going on. Guy instructed and his team nodded. But they just couldn't put this aside. What could have happened between Naruto and whatever convinced their Hokage to send here to the country of Wave? After a few minutes, they finally came across a humble house that seemed to be that of a fisherman, since the sound of moving water could be heard on the other side from facing the front door. Nevertheless, Tenten walked up and knocked on the door. After another couple of minutes, someone came to the door and opened it to reveal a very young and attractive woman. She was a very well-endowed figure with black hair and blue eyes. She was dressed in a similar model to that of a housewife. She wore simple clothes complete with an apron, and her hair was freely swaying in the wind. She still smiled at the sight of the shinobi team. May I help you? She said in a tone that only a hard-working mother can muster. Yes, madam. Is this the house of Tazuna the bridge builder? Our village told us to find another shinobi team here. Guy said in a more mature and respectful voice, one that he personally used when addressing clients or otherwise civilians from outside the borders of Konoha. That's my father, and yes, he is here with the shinobi team. Their leader is talking to my father while his students are outside training. She said, my name is Tsunami, please come in. Team 9 thanked Tsunami for the warm welcome and entered the house to find Naruto in something of a living room with the client in question. When Team 9 entered the living room, Naruto noticed that and greeted them. Hello, Guy. If you and your team are here, then I can guess why. The blonde Jonin said to the confusion of Tazuna. What do you mean? Are you going to abandon the mission after all? Tazuna asked in a voice that begged for a no. Not at all, Tazuna-san. It is another matter. They are here to make sure that 2 of my students return back to our village instead of staying here. Naruto said, and Team 9 nodded in a guilty way that made Tazuna grow red. Why should the shinobi I paid with all the money I have left have to leave before the bridge is built? I need someone to protect me while I finish my masterpiece that is going to save my country. Tazuna blew up in Team 9's face and got them to flinch in guilt because he knew what he was talking about, and Team 9 also knew that. Sorry, Tazuna-san, but we have our orders. Guy tried to settle the client down until another door opened, which suddenly erased the thick atmosphere. We are done, sensei. 100 push-ups, 200 sit-ups and 100 laps around the yard. All in just around 2 hours. Keiji said, which explained how his breath intake was sharp and that he and his clothes were covered in dirt. The same for Mito and Hinata, who just collapsed on some vacant seats while the latter found some space in Naruto's lap. Can we please take them off so that we can take a bath? Please. Team 9 was shocked to see Keiji, the Hokage's supposed spoiled son, politely asked of something, and even Mito joined him. You may, while I will handle Hinata's bathing, okay? Naruto said, and his remaining students saw that tone in his voice. I guess there is nothing a man can do to be slightly overprotective of their girls. Just not in the margin of telling everyone she sees to scram or such. Okay, sensei. Keiji said with his tired tone, making his voice sound like that of a beaten puppy that is too sweet to hold any grudges. He and Mito then rolled down the sleeves of their dirty jackets and trousers to reveal some kind of bracelet that had some familiar markings on. The 2 heirs then touched each of these markings, which caused some kind of unlocking sound. Team 9 then saw the 2 of them getting back up and stretched their arms and legs to cause a very loud cracking sound that happens when you pop the bubbles around your knuckles. While Team 9 were confused on this, it didn't take long for Guy to smile and realize what was going on. Naruto, you are still the genius I still know you as. What better way to train anyone in taijutsu? I haven't found a better one yet, Guy, and by the looks of the faces on your students, they haven't gotten this special aid in their training. Why is that? Naruto said until he glared at the fellow Jonin once he said that last statement. Guy suddenly lost his good mood and looked down in shame. Naruto-san? Tenten wanted to break the ice in form of the uncomfortable atmosphere. Just Naruto, Tenten. I am not that old. The blonde smirked and Tenten just sighed. Whatever, just as Guy-sensei so down. Because if he couldn't teach you all taijutsu, then that is like dirt on his new shirt. It is embarrassing. Naruto answered before going into his sack while Tenten went on. But he did teach us taijutsu, just look at Lee. Naruto just sighed and went on, focusing on finding what he wanted to find. I am not going to look at Lee. I am going to look at the entire Team 9 in terms of taijutsu. Have any of you trained in the field as hard as Lee or even Guy like he did as a genin? Don't you know anything about Guy's history as a shinobi? Naruto asked, and when he didn't get an answer immediately, he left it as a no. Whatever, I need to make sure that no one is far away or far behind while I am still a Konoha Jonin. Here they are. Naruto before taking out a single scroll. While Team 9 wondering what he meant, Naruto opened the scroll to reveal the kanji 4 weights and 1-4 taijutsu directly beneath. Using his hand to send chakra through the kanji fuinjutsu, Team 9 saw that the contents were very similar bracelets to the ones that Team 7 had on. Team 9 were then creeped out by the expression on Naruto's face as he lifted them up to the same level as his head. That look could only be described as sadist fun. A week had passed since Team 9 had arrived, and they seemed to have forgotten that they needed to just pick up the Hokage's heirs and return them back to the village. Instead, Team 9 were caught up in what they could only moan and groan as, "This is torture." Birds flew in flocks, fish evaded fishermen's hooks, and small creatures suddenly decided to find a new home, one that is further away from that racket. I am telling you that this is nothing but child abuse. I can't even feel my legs. Tenten, on the ground with bruises on her skin and dirt on her clothes, complained. But she wasn't alone. Not far away from her resting place were the rest of Team 9 and the entire Team 7. And they all were in no better form than Tenten herself. Please, Tenten-san, don't say another word. Keiji said, straining to the pain throughout his body and the aching of every single muscle under his skin. Tenten, however, didn't get why he did ask of that. Oh, you think I am just annoying and a whining brat like you were? Tenten yelled in Keiji's direction and only got the male heir to look the other way. That really hurt him, like all the times he had to remember the hard way that his ways with women weren't as close to romantic than he originally thought before he was assigned with his twin sister to Naruto's Team 7. Tenten-san, what we mean is that if Naruto-sensei heard us complain, then he will force every single one of us to go to bed at night with the weights increased, and that is without any dinner. Sensei is that type of jonin and instructor. Funny to hear Mito come to Keiji's aid, since the two weren't at the best of ends even though they were both parts of the pair until they first became genin. It happened every time we did wine during the last 3 months, Tenten-san. That caused everyone in Team 9 to shudder, like a cold wind came out of nowhere, and caused quite the breeze under the muddy clothes. Just how hard was it with Naruto's training that had caused 2 of the most spoiled kids imaginable to become the exact opposite? Now they are completely humble, to a fault, never even tried to make themselves look superior ever since Team 9 arrived where they were in the country of Wave. It was scary to think about it all. Just what horrors and harsh training Naruto forced his team to go through and do all this in just 3 months. Previously I'm cracking gaps, sins of a family. A week had passed since Team 9 had arrived, and they seemed to have forgotten that they needed to just pick up the Hokage's heirs and return them back to the village. Instead, Team 9 were caught up in what they could only moan and groan as, "This is torture." Birds flew in flocks, fish evaded fishermen's hooks, and small creatures suddenly decided to find a new home, one that is further away from that racket. I am telling you that this is nothing but child abuse. I can't even feel my legs. Tenten, on the ground with bruises on her skin and dirt on her clothes, complained. But she wasn't alone. Not far away from her resting place were the rest of Team 9 and the entire Team 7. And they all were in no better form than Tenten herself. Please, Tenten-san, don't say another word, Keiji said, straining to the pain throughout his body and the aching of every single muscle under his skin. Tenten, however, didn't get why he did ask of that. Oh, you think I am just annoying and a whining brat like you were? Tenten yelled in Keiji's direction and only got the male heir to look the other way. That really hurt him, like all the times he had to remember the hard way that his ways with women weren't as close to romantic than he originally thought before he was assigned with his twin sister to Naruto's Team 7. Tenten-san, what we mean is that if Naruto-sensei heard us complain, then he will force every single one of us to go to bed at night with the weights increased, and that is without any dinner. Sensei is that type of jonin and instructor. Funny to hear Mito come to Keiji's aid, since the two weren't at the best of ends even though they were both parts of the pair until they first became genin. It happened every time we did wine during the last 3 months, Tenten-san. That caused everyone in Team 9 to shudder, like a cold wind came out of nowhere, and caused quite the breeze under the muddy clothes. Just how hard was it with Naruto's training that had caused 2 of the most spoiled kids imaginable to become the exact opposite? Now they are completely humble, to a fault, never even tried to make themselves look superior ever since Team 9 arrived where they were in the country of Wave. It was scary to think about it all. Just what horrors and harsh training Naruto forced his team to go through and do all this in just 3 months. I still think that it is unyouthful, the way you treat no only your genin but my own. Mighty Guy, supposed to be the loudest shinobi in the village that can still ambush his enemies, spoke to Naruto eating his ramen despite the tone and glare meaning disappointment. The village has been breathing down my neck to make sure that Team 7 is the strongest genin team in the entire village, and that even your own team will be no match for mine, Guy. Naruto sat in a deadpan tone before taking a folder from who knows where and sent in Guy's way. It is all there, read it. Guy did and then sighed after finishing. There is even Hokage-sama's youthful signature, so I can't deny it. Sending the folder back in the same way as Naruto did, the blonde took it back and no one saw that folder for the rest of the time they spent here in Wave. So what now, Naruto-kun? What will happen if Team 7 does outmatch even Team 9? Hinata asked a good question. Once you are at the top, what other thing can you do other than try to stay at the top? It is almost that time of year again, and I am aiming to not let my team get into danger for the sake of a last resort or anything. Naruto said in an encrypted tone that shinobi teachers use because they are trained to speak secrets and riddles and half-answers, to keep the enemies guessing instead of asking. And if I hear that you got drunk or got laid before that time, it is 3 times the weight and 1/3 the number of meals for a week. Understand? Naruto said while facing his infamous stern glare not only at Team 7 but Team 9 as well. Just what kind of man is this guy? Team 9 thought at unison even though they had no idea they did, but Team 7 nodded furiously. Once again, the former sees just how Naruto means via the latter reaction. It was all undeniable. You know that you will die of a cold if you keep sleeping like that out of here. Keiji was out during some late-night training following an incident regarding the client's grandson, Inari. During a dinner after training, Inari came down with some kind of poor excuse for a tough attitude and only insulted the Konoha shinobi. But when he had to accuse them all of not knowing what suffering was and they were just cold-hearted jerks all the way to even calling Nito a bitch and a whore. That caused Keiji to snap and strike at Inari, but Naruto prevented that from happening, scolding Keiji for not controlling his own temper. Keiji had no idea if Inari got off easy because he was the grandson of the client, or got scolded too by Naruto since the male twin from Konoha had been outside since. But now, it was early in the morning and Keiji realized that he trained himself to the ground and started a nap without him knowing the entire time. As soon as he heard those words in a voice that was like from that of an angel, Keiji finally opened his eyes. "Are you an angel?" Keiji said in a tired tone. Sleeping against a tree's base and bark after exhaustion can do that to even the most hardened of all shinobi. Keiji still said that his new friend had a blush on her face. "I am afraid not." "Then how are you so beautiful if you are not an angel? Just who are you anyways?" Keiji said before trying to move and get more comfortable. "I am Keiji Uzumaki Namikaze, by the way." At least, Keiji remembered all the lessons and manners that Naruto had beaten into his head along with the rest of the tortuous training. "Ah, son of Konoha no Kiroi Senko and his wife. I am honored and my name is Haku." Haku had long black hair, pale skin and large, dark brown eyes, a slender frame. She wore a green haori with white trimmings, and around her waist a brown sash with a fringed trail wrapped around twice. "So Haku, what are you doing out here?" Keiji said, trying to be civil instead of flirtatious like he used to. "I am a doctor and was running low on some herbs that I need to heal a sick friend. Luckily, I found some nearby, so I took a morning walk to gather them until he found this place, and you just sleeping there." Haku explained and pointed an open palm to some wild herbs that somehow survived the destruction of when Keiji laid waste to this clearing in order to release some pent-up feelings. Of course, considering what is left. "My bad." Keiji nervous chuckled. "Here, let me help." Haku giggled as Keiji was able to pick as many herbs as she could, which made the job half as bad and move twice as fast. "Thank you. I can definitely make plenty of medicine from all this," Haku said before taking the basket from the ground and started to head into the direction from which she came. "And in case you are wondering, I am a guy." "What?" "But your hair, your perfume and even your voice is like a girl," Keiji shouted in protest, and Haku just shrugged and went on until he heard the sound of clothing ripping and saw his clothes fall to the ground, causing him to fall to the ground in a scream with arms around the chest. Then Haku was pushed to the ground with Keiji on top. "I wasn't done. It is rude to ignore someone trying to talk to you." Haku struggled, but the position made it very awkward and hard to call on any kind of strength to get up. "And now, why are you wearing clothes made for girls if you are a guy? Why did you model your hair in a way that is more suitable for kunoichi since you are shinobi yourself? Finally, why did you scream with your chest bare? I have plenty of proof that I am a guy myself." Keiji was glad that Naruto taught him how to use leverage and positons to hold even a professional wrestler into the ground during the training sessions. Okay, I am a girl." Haku gave up after going through the options present 5 times already. There was no way out but talking. "Good, now that is settled, then you can explain those herbs." Keiji continued and gave both his and Haku's attention the basket of herbs that fell from the ladder when she lowered her guard. "Naruto-sensei taught us the basics of survival and showed us those type of herbs. They are used for medicine, but only when the patient in question is suffering heavy wounds and exhaustion instead of simply being sick, like Zabuza." Keiji saw that Haku was twitching and smirked that he was getting to her. "That's right. I am in cahoots with Zabuza, so that makes us enemies, so are you going to kill me?" Haku braced for a response and any pain to come, but she didn't expect this. "Why kill you? That won't help anyone, and you didn't do anything to me or my team. You are just a girl who follows the man who wants my client dead." Keiji stated, "I used to think that all enemies of mine deserved to die, but that was another thing that Naruto-sensei had bashed me, and that I am wrong. No one deserves to die, and you don't either." But Haku tried to protest when she felt like Keiji leaving her back so she finally could get back up. But Haku nearly forgot that she had no shirt on and only panties when she used her arms to jump from the ground, flashing herself all for Keiji to witness. "Hey!" Haku noticed a few seconds too late, and saw that Keiji had a slight nosebleed by the time she used her arms again, but this time to cover her panties too. "What you staring at?" "A shameless girl who would care less about modesty if it meant to be spared. That is what I am staring at. Nice taste in panties though." Keiji smirked, something from his blind fascination with girls that has yet to leave. Naruto just simply said that boys are supposed to be interested in girls at any age and vice versa is the reason he didn't bother. After all, why would you try to fix something when it isn't broken? And no, Haku was surprised to be argued back and couldn't deny what this boy was calling her. Here, take this and go, or I might have to capture you again, and this time for Naruto-sensei? Unless you want to delay helping Zabuza? Keiji said with a blanket that also came out of nowhere, but Haku didn't care when she grabbed it and covered her near naked body. Please don't tell anyone about this. Zabuza will kill you after killing me first. Haku said, suddenly like a shy girl compared to how confident she was ever since Keiji woke up to see her looking down on him. I can't keep that promise because Naruto-sensei always seemed to find it out anyways, and who knows if he will take it the wrong way. What is worse, tell my parents as soon as we get home. Keiji said in an honest tone that didn't have a shred of lying or self-centered thinking. But Haku wasn't able to answer and didn't say a word. And neither did Keiji until it got dark. What happened next was to be between only the two of them. Haku? Keiji muttered from his sleeping bag, trying to grab at something out for his reach for some reason. Haku? Where are you? Keiji then realized that he was all alone in his sleeping bag that seemed to have obliviously been modified to fit two people of Keiji's age. Come to think of it, Keiji didn't see anyone in the room. Where is everyone? Leave my mother alone. Keiji then heard and recognized that voice as Inari, the same one that he struck because Inari insulted his twin sister. Hurrying to get his clothes back on and his equipment together, Keiji hoped that he could still try to handle the situation. But all that worrying was for naught when Keiji finally came down to see that a couple of bandits had been bound and Naruto had already saved the day. Speaking of whom, Naruto turned from rubbing Inari's head to face Keiji. Nice to see you are finally up. You did come back to the house late at night, Keiji. I didn't teach you to that, I hope? Keiji knew that tone. Naruto was not pleased at all as of this very moment. Well, no, but Keiji couldn't come up with a good story, but Naruto just grabbed him by the hand, rather tightly. Inari, gather up the villagers the best you can because they need to be there when this tyranny is over. Naruto said and disappeared before seeing Inari nodding and hurrying towards the village despite his mother shouting out for him. When Naruto and Keiji reappeared, it was at the bridge that Tazuna was going to build in order to free the village since they have to rely on Gato's company to meet their needs. That was how Gato had forced the people to bow to him, and that was why he is treating them like dirt and getting with it scot-free. And as for the bridge now, it was a mess. Inside the mist, sounds of metal and screams were to be heard and voices too. Naruto knew one of them, and she was in trouble. But unlike Keiji, he just won't barge in to help her, not after the hard work that Hinata had undergone for a few years to protect herself. So for now. Keiji, try to find your sister and Hinata along with Team 9. I need to go and help Guy. Naruto ordered, and he wisely used another one of his many and specific tones, one that meant no arguments. Keiji didn't even try and hurried into the mist in order to track down where the voices were coming from while Naruto did the same. And both of them had found what they were looking for, but where they were found, exactly, was nothing pretty. Guys. Keiji could yell out if he didn't get a crash course in how a shinobi never yells when an ambush chance is available. Bandits yell. But the entire Team 9 were there, and they were trying to break something like a dome made completely out of strange mirrors that looked like they were made out of ice, but they weren't melting, even though it was summertime. Keiji, where were you? Tenten demanded the best way she could under the circumstances herself. We were ambushed when Tazuna just had to say that he still need to work on his bridge even after all his bridge builders quit out of fear. And then we were ambushed by Zabuza along with the same hunter Nin that saved him a week ago. Hinata-chan told us, and so did your sister. Keiji flinched at the slight distaste of Tenten as soon as she spoke the word sister when it came to him personally, and it was all centering on Mito for sure. Some people sure know how to hold a grudge. But he forgot all about that. He saw just who they were talking about, indeed the same figure a week ago, and was controlling the mirrors. Then came something that set Keiji off. That same hunter had appeared out of a mirror that both Mito and Hinata were facing their backs. That sneak attack could kill any of them. Hinata-san. Keiji let loose all those emotions and something else happened. When everyone was drawn to the yell, Hinata found herself outside the mirror ice dome, and inside, Mito was surprised to see her brother by her and blocking an attempted sneak attack by matching kunai. I told you that the Kawarimi no jutsu was the easiest for me. Now I can even do this with the help of Naruto-sensei. Keiji said surprisingly well while holding the hunter Nin at a stalemate with his kunai. Then Keiji broke the stalemate and started to fight the hunter Nin in close dueling, given their choice of weapons being many times smaller than the average sword. Mito was surprised herself that Keiji had an unusual talent for such a simple technique that saved both her life and Hinata's. She never even knew that her brother was actually quite good with a small bladed weapon, since Mito never listened to a word of her twin brother as soon as they started their training with their parents. Always ran it off as exaggerated boasting, over-imagination and empty words. Mito never even gave Keiji a minute of her time to see it for herself. What a mess, and they are twin brother and sister. But then, as soon as she broke her stupor, Mito heard these words. Haku-chan? Why? Everyone turned to see a familiar face, at least to Keiji, that is. Why did you still want to do this? You will just get killed. I'm sorry, but Zabuza-sama is still my master. I told him plenty of times that I will die, for the man that I treasure more in the world. Haku responded, and it was like she and Keiji were old lovers who found themselves on the other side of the law to each other. So I guess that I really made myself look like a fool to trust you. To try and make a new friend. Or even consider a girlfriend, ever in my life. Keiji suddenly started to talk like a downer and went on and on about how he was too a pathetic boy that is only good for dying until he was slapped on the face. It doesn't mean any of that at all. Haku shouted at Keiji, and despite that, the mist still contained that outburst. You are my friend. If not, then why did you bring me back to the house of my enemies? To make me feel warmer, safer, more secure and more welcomed. More than I ever felt in all my life. Haku then started to tear up for everyone to witness. I truly didn't want you to be involved, I just didn't want you to die, but how can I even try to escape the path I gave my life to stay walking on? Then Haku threw away her kunai and caused the ice around her, Keiji and Mito to melt, but only the latter girl reacted to that. Keiji just ignored all that and hugged Haku. If I am going to die, then I want to see all my friends and new ones making their own paths to walk on. No one should follow a man all their life unless they want to be nothing but a doll to control. Please promise me that before I get killed, okay? In the moment Keiji was having, everyone never said a word, and it was thanks to Hinata secretly blocking out any sound with her own genjutsu talents. All they needed to do is see the male heir of the Konoha village finally become a real man. And that was clear when Haku hugged Keiji back, clean and without any backstabbing movement at all. Thanks, Keiji. I guess that it was past time that I started to do what I wanted to do. I am a big girl after all. Haku started to giggle, and strangely, everyone commented in their thoughts on how it made Haku look even cuter. Then came something that broke even Hinata's soundproof genjutsu. Gato. Gato. Zabuza shouting as his mist had lifted up thanks to 2 arrows in his arms, obviously not from Guy or Naruto. They may have been fighting this rogue shinobi, but they both would never do such a dishonorable act given that Zabuza wanted a fair rematch. Hello Zabuza, the baby demon of the mist. Everyone then saw a repulsive midget in a business suit with a crane in one hand and the other in a cast. Behind him was nothing sort of an army armed to the teeth in armor and weapons. I paid you even double to get the job done, and you still failed me. I decided that money wasn't going to solve the problem, that is you, so I gave money to more competent mercenaries. Remember, Gato then turned his head to his army. The first one to kill Zabuza or even one of those Konoha shinobi will get 10 times their promised money. But you can do what you want with the girls. Got it? Got it, boss. Every single mercenary in Gato's army proclaimed. And they started to move forward, but they soon found themselves unable to complete that first step. What is wrong with you all? Gato started to yell, ignoring what is really going on. Something that his enemies have a front row seat to witness. What is wrong is that you have ordered the greatest sin known to us shinobi, Tycoon Gato. That poor man then felt like his body was slowly and painfully freezing away, but Gato still wanted to see who was talking him down like the proud coward he is. There, in full view, was Naruto Uzumaki. Now, for the sake of not only this village and its people you were sucking dry like a weed in a beautiful garden, but also for Haku and Zabuza that you have lied to, I will kill you, Gato. There was pure malice and the desire to kill in that voice. Even a blind man will see it. And Gato sure did. Protect me. Stop him. Gato then hurried behind his army the fastest he could with the help of his cane. The mercenaries hurried to make sure they will still get paid, and just in time when Naruto took out a kunai with the intent to stab Gato in the ugly and rotten heart that businessman had in his chest. Of course, there was this thing about Naruto that shouldn't have been seen given his reputation. 2 of them had used their weapons to block the kunai and hurried to seize Naruto, but instead their hands had phased right through the blonde, like they were witnessing a mirage outside a desert. Then the sound of flesh being pierced and a man screaming in fear and pain. Everyone just had to see what was going on, and they got their wish. On the other side of the army of mercenaries was Gato for sure. He somehow made it even with his cane and cast, but that wasn't the surprising part. It was that he had a kunai and someone's hand going right through the section of chest that contained his heart, just as Naruto moved in to undergo. What the hell? How did the brat get behind us? Hey! Now none of us are going to get paid. Kill him! One of the mercenaries shouted, and pretty soon they all turned towards Naruto, who was killing his sleeve of Gato's blood with the dead man's clothes. Yeah, then we will keep all the girls for ourselves. But Naruto's calm and devil-may-care attitude to this development had snapped once he heard that proclaim, and after that, sick laughter from the army of mercenaries. Now Naruto was not going to be the same for the rest of the day. You are such horrible people. Naruto stared the charging army with a glare that seemed to make the blonde look like the devil. Die. As soon as he said that single word, the first set of mercenaries to reach Naruto had died. It was like they were crushed by some kind of unseen force, and the remains were scattered all over the bridge, into the water and on the approaching mercenaries, but something had prevented even a single blood splat on Naruto himself. This didn't stop the charging killers, of course, but this did. A set of over 100 blades, floating around Naruto himself. And with just a flick of a finger or two into their direction was all it took for the blonde to order the strange blades move in, to kill you all. And it all happened in an instant. Swords sliced and diced. Spears pierced and stabbed. And daggers shredded to the bone. And then there wasn't any mercenary left to be called human anymore, just a large pile of blood and gore on the bridge. His audience were mostly in shock at the sight. Guy was both worried about Naruto exposing not only Team 7 but also Team 9 to such horrors of fellow humans being chopped up in such brutality, and also getting a little sick from the stench and sight himself. Lee couldn't even peep. Niji tried to empty his mind of the blood that brought back his own bad memories. Tenten tried to contain something disgusting that is tempting her to let out, and on the bridge. As for Team 7, they seemed to be slightly doing better. Keiji was wondering if this was what his father had to see and what is worse, caused during the Third Shinobi War, while Mito tried to hide her eyes with the help of her brother's shoulder, and finally, Hinata had to see this kind of thing herself, and being Naruto's girlfriend and student at the same time had gave her the right to know everything about being a shinobi. Naruto doesn't leave anything out. But Naruto was still feeling a little sadist, and went to the railing of the bridge and whistled in an eerie tone. Then came the sound of a large group of things swimming through the water that surrounded the wave village. "Hello boys, hungry?" Naruto said in a casual tone, even though he is talking to a school of sharks. And yet they all nodded like well-trained puppies, and their loose tongues that are hanging from their mouths made them look kind of cute and fierce. Then dig in. Everyone soon saw that Naruto had indirectly cast off a pile of flesh into the waters where the school of sharks were just waiting in anticipation. Once the meat pile had finally got into the water, the shark wasted no time in having their own fill. But then Guy saw something familiar about the meat and blood that stained the water. There was a human-shaped arm with the clothing of the mercenaries that Naruto had slain off. And when everyone saw it too, their disturbing and uncomfortable pain had returned when they thought they'd forgotten it, but this time the negative feelings were twice as strong. Just what had caused Naruto to be such a sadist, homicidal maniac, and yet a much-respected man to all men. But there was this little thing tugging at the minds of the twins, like they saw their father in Naruto, and the army was no longer normal and greedy mercenaries but shinobi, wearing brown uniforms and headbands with the symbol for a simple rock. They had no idea why they were seeing this, but time will give them their answer, whatever they will accept it or not. After the nightmare finally ended. "You sure you want to come us, Haku-chan?" Naruto asked the young lady. "This will be a big shock after those years on the run, and it will be really difficult to erase nearly a lifetime of following a rogue shinobi." "Yes, I am sure," Haku stated while grasping Keiji's arm like a lifeline during a hurricane. "And are you going to take responsibility, Keiji? You have just caused a girl to fall for you and won't let you go." Naruto turned to one of his students. "I will." Keiji was still nervous about all this. After all, Naruto's harsh training had allowed him to see that women are far more complex, and just one mistake can really ruin your chances of ever being around that same woman ever again. "Then you better, because your mother will demand to know everything about your relationship so she can embarrass you about it. Unless you want to do otherwise," Naruto said, and Keiji nodded. Embarrassment is nothing compared to how Kushina punishes her children for leaving her out of any potential children-in-law and also any possible grandchildren to spoil. "Hey!" All three of them turned to see Mito along with the rest of the Konoha shinobi on the bridge out of wave. "We are about to leave, and stop pressuring Keiji, he will be fine." The said boy was glad to make things up with his twin sister, and it felt rather good to have someone that close to count on. "Besides, I like Haku and I will like someone to call my sister," Mito said, not knowing of the secret that Naruto and Hinata are aware of, but said nothing. They didn't even notice the sad and regretful expressions both of them had. "We're coming, Mito," Naruto said in a sour tone that somehow was missed by all but Hinata, who grasped his hand to at least cheer him up, that he is not alone on lying to the twins about having no big brother or little sister. "We just need to do one last thing." Only Hinata heard that and nodded, but no else, because it was a surprise. A present if you call it, and it was all for the twins. "Hey!" All three of them turned to see Mito along with the rest of the Konoha shinobi on the bridge out of wave. "We are about to leave, and stop pressuring Keiji, he will be fine." The said boy was glad to make things up with his twin sister, and it felt rather good to have someone that close to count on. "Besides, I like Haku and I will like someone to call my sister," Mito said, not knowing of the secret that Naruto and Hinata are aware of, but said nothing. They didn't even notice the sad and regretful expressions both of them had. "We're coming, Mito," Naruto said in a sour tone that somehow was missed by all but Hinata, who grasped his hand to at least cheer him up, that he is not alone on lying to the twins about having no big brother or little sister. "We just need to do one last thing." Only Hinata heard that and nodded, but no else, because it was a surprise. A present if you call it, and it was all for the twins. "Kushina-chan, can you please give Haku-san a break and some air while you are at it?" Minato sighed along with everyone else in his office at the sight of Haku being in a bear trap of an embrace by the wife of the current Hokage, who just smiled like a fox and squealed the whole time. "I can't help it, Minato-koi. Haku-chan is just so cute. The scarlet-haired woman was like a little girl with her first kitten or something. I can't wait to have her for a daughter-in-law." "Then you can wait until our only son ties the knot," Minato said, and flinched at glances from both Keiji and Naruto for reasons that the Hokage knows and doesn't respectfully. "I think Haku-san wants to at least breathe." And just like that, the tension that was in the room and directed at the Hokage had changed course and settled on how blue Haku looked in Kushina's innocent and ignorant bear hug. "Sorry about that. I guess that there is some of a teenage girl in me." Kushina tried to apologize, but Haku only focused on getting some air in her lungs and away from another bear hug from the Hokage's wife. "Anyways, I am sorry that I can't add you to any Genin team since we had already set the team-ups a few months ago." Haku nodded. That was one of the things that Naruto had went on with detail on the way home from Wave. "You can just make yourself at home here in the village and enter the academy for next year's teams, or you can skip it all and sign up for work already. I hear that you are a combat medic, right?" "Yes, sir." Haku nodded, hoping it was good enough in front of Konoha's Yellow Flash, a Hokage that is supposed to be even greater than his predecessor, Hiruzen Sarutobi, or the Professor of Konoha. What is more, Hiruzen was even called the Three-God of Shinobi after the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and that is if you include the mythical Six Paths Sage. "Then all I ask if you are interested in working at our hospital, or I can add you to our medic team." Minato picked up where he left off, and seeing that he had got Haku's attention, he continued to explain. "They are not only trained to fix and heal but to defend themselves in combat and battle. I am sure you well fit right, and since I got from both Naruto-kun and Gai-san that your skills are of high chunin, almost low jonin." Minato ignored how Naruto flinched at how the Hokage addressed him so casually and effectively, like Minato thinks he is on good relations with his youngest jonin. "I will try it after I find myself a place to live, sir. And all I ask is that you will not mind if I date your son." "I know that I can be asking too much," and Haku said, and stopped immediately when Minato raised his hand for a pause. "It is no problem at all, and I must warn you that even before my son hit puberty, every civilian clan had bombarded me with both requests and demands that their children to be arranged to marry any one of them. That was something that made the entire Team 7 raise an eyebrow in slight surprise, while Team 9 was indifferent, as well as Haku. My point is that I can't guarantee your safety for the rage of their children and the clan heads when they hear about this new development. Kushina-chan and I have seen the worst to happen to people like you, so please be a little careful when you are both with my son and when you are alone." "Thanks for the approval and warning, sir. I will try my best not to disappoint any of you," Haku shouted out like a shy kid finally finding his voice. But she could have done it softer and less loud because her outburst had gotten her loose from Keiji's arm and in Kushina's bear hug again. "MOM." Keiji yelled with disbelief, while everyone somehow found it amusing enough to laugh at the scene. "And after a good couple of months since the Wave mission, so where exactly are we going, Kuchan?" Haku asked while clutching the arm of her embarrassed boyfriend. It took a couple of dates, but they were able to get into a relationship that the Hokage himself approves of, and they had been on numerous dates since. She just won't let up the affection and the cute nickname that Haku got from Mito, but Keiji just won't ever get angry at his girlfriend. After all, Naruto made sure that Keiji will have more patience that will come in handy once the latter becomes a clan head. Naruto-sensei said that he wanted the residents at his house other than Hinata-san to meet you too. He will hate to have Hinata-san's little sister and his own to not know about you, Keiji said, and Haku squealed, somewhat like his mother back in the office doing the papers. "Are any of them cute?" "I am sure, Haku-chan, but Mito may have a better opinion for you since you are a girl like her," Keiji said, and braced for any bash on the head for any accidental sexist remark. But instead, Mito just smiled. "I am afraid Keiji and Aikuen is right, Haku-chan," she said, which got their attention and Keiji to let go a breath he unknowing kept in. "If he did answer your question as a boy, then it will be hard for you to understand. There are just these things that we girls can only tell each other while boys have no way of knowing." Haku then sighed and nodded. "Okay, Mito-chan, then tell me if they are cute." Haku then had her sparkling eyes again while causing Keiji to toss and spin at her ignorant behavior, much of an overexcited girlfriend. "They sure are." Mito started to have that smile that got Haku even more interested and Keiji even more irritated. He knew just what is going to happen next. They love to play and read books all day. Oh. And they love to eat the ramen that Naruto-sensei makes on occasion. I practically fainted when they both got noodles on their nose from eating their ramen without the chopsticks. Mito practically started out a girl's gossip that was going so fast and loud that Keiji couldn't make out what they were saying anymore. Of course, he had to take a big risk for any man in his lifetime: break up the gossip between 2 or more girls. What? They all yelled, and poor Keiji, he couldn't even say a word but point towards the house he was standing in front of along with his twin sister and new girlfriend, hoping that they would get the silent message for sure. Oh. So this is where Naruto-san lives with his girlfriend and younger sister? Haku asked, and the twins nodded. And Hanabi, she visits so much that we had people actually asking if she lived here too, Keiji said. Now let's go in. Keiji then knocked on the door, not caring if it was locked or not. The last time he barged through a door and into someone's house, there were a horde of rogue shinobi in waiting specifically for his blood as Minato's son. Let's just say that knocking is the result of both a learned fear and yet another lesion that Naruto had gave over the past months. After a minute or two, the door opened and the one who did greeted Keiji a lot like this. Keiji-san. Mito-san. Hello, Hanabi-chan. Keiji side hugged Hanabi, who embraced him like a big brother or at least a good friend who happens to be a few years older. Is Sensei and your older sister home? Sure. They are helping Yurina with her homework and I got mine done first so I can welcome you in, Hanabi answered, a lot like girls her age. Come on. Keiji chuckled while Mito giggled at the sight as they let themselves and Haku into Naruto's house. So are you Haku? I keep hearing about you from Naruto and Ai-san and Hinata-ne-chan. That is my name, Haku answered, and you really are cute. Hanabi giggled as she is too innocent to be embarrassed, or otherwise she thinks that Haku is just playing and doesn't actually mean it. So where is Yurina? I want to meet her too. She is possibility in our bedroom. We each have a bed to sleep in there, so Naruto and Ai-san let us share it when I come over, Hanabi answered while Keiji and Mito were busy finding the kitchen for a snack. They were a little hungry after that last mission that had to happen at noon, so the twins ate lunch a little earlier than usual. Thankfully for Keiji, it was simple D rank, so he didn't have to worry about keeping Haku waiting for this moment to come and visit the Twisted Eye of Konoha and his own family at home. Wait here while I go get her. Haku found a chair to sit in while the twins were working on some instant ramen for their snack when they found more than enough to use more than 2 safely, meaning that they could take up to 5 cans without becoming terribly low on them. After a short while, the ramen for 5 were really for the table, and the twins found a serving board to carry it all there. Here she is. Hanabi's voice echoed throughout the house, and the twins and Haku saw Naruto along with Hinata and Yurina approach the dining table that suddenly got big enough for the 10 chairs that were already in position. Yurina, this is Haku. The one that Naruto and Ai-san and Hinata-ne-san told the 2 of us about. One thing that Haku had noticed about Yurina was that while Hinata was bold and loud, the former was the complete opposite of the latter. Regardless, Yurina approached Haku and took in a huge breath. And nice to meet you, Haku-san. And Naruto and Ai-san and Hinata-ne-san said that you are Keiji-san's girl, right? That will be right, Yurina-chan. Of course, if that bothers you, Yurina then violently shook her head negative, which got Haku to smile. I did hear from Kukun that you are one of the sweetest little girls he knows other than his sister, Hanabi-chan, and even me, Haku said, and Yurina then brightened up. It was an honor that seemed impossible for the male heir to the Hokage's clan to consider young girls as beautiful and sweet like his own twin sister, and, only recently, his girlfriend. Thank you, Haku-san, Yurina said with a slightly less shy tone that got Haku to pick her up and hug her, not as strong as Kushina did her on Haku's first day in Konoha, of course. And this time, the young and cute girl found herself relaxed and warm around Haku, which is ironic since Haku's personality and prowess was the complete opposite. But Haku didn't care, she loved to be a big sister at last. And while everyone was busy getting to know each other even more, Haku noticed that Naruto and Hinata had distant looks on their faces. They didn't look happy at all. And Haku didn't want such unknown unhappiness to spread and ruin a good get-together like this one. Is something the matter? Haku asked while approaching the 2, and when they both turned into her direction, Naruto and Hinata sighed. Yes, Haku. There is, and we must ask to bring you to somewhere private. Haku titled her head in confusion before shrugging and followed the couple to one of the bedrooms reserved for any guest or more residents. It was dusted every week to make sure that it is the cleanest as it can until used. Haku just got comfortable on the bed while Naruto placed some kind of seals on the door and walls before joining Hinata, who was standing up in front of Haku. So what's up? Is it something sad? Haku started the conversation, and the couple just looked at each other before nodding. It is a secret, Haku. A secret that keeps growing as time passes untold. until it is too much even for the two of us. That is why we are going to share with you," Naruto said, and while Haku felt excited to have the honor of learning something that was shared between only the twisted eye of Konoha and his girlfriend/closest student. "I am listening, and I will have my lips sealed. I swear," Haku said, hoping to prove that she will not let Naruto or Hinata down with a secret like this. "We know you will, but it will involve both the Namikaze Uzumaki clan and our own little family here in Naruto's house. So it will be difficult to accept," Hinata said, and Haku was at the edge of her seat to finally hear it. "As you know, and isn't a lie, that Yurina is my younger sister," Haku nodded, blushing at how polite and yet cute girl whose shyness had only made her look twice as much. "But she is also the twins' younger sister." That was the icebreaker, and that was exactly how Haku felt. "As she is?" Haku stammered, remembering on how Hinata warned her that this might be a little difficult to swallow. Then why hasn't Kikuin told me that? Why did he lie to me? Haku started to get the wrong impression, and the couple had stopped her by sitting on both sides of the poor girl. "Keiji-kun didn't lie to you, Haku. It is just that the Hokage and his wife foolishly thought that lying to the twins about no older or younger siblings will make them the prefect heirs," Naruto said, and Haku managed to calm down her racing heart. "We know that they will love to have them ever since they finally showed some humility during one of Naruto-kun's training exercises." Hinata added, "Keiji-san wanted a brother while Mito wanted her own sister. They didn't care if they are older or younger. They both wanted a sibling of their own gender to hang out with, but their parents refused to tell them the truth." "So, if Yurina is the younger sister to the twins, then how is Kikuin going to have a brother?" Haku asked, but before she could rant on. "He does, Haku-chan," Naruto said, and Haku then faced him. "How do you know?" "You are looking at him." Haku then gasped as she tried to take all this in. "So what happened? Why did you leave the family of the Hokage? Why isn't Yurina-chan with them if you two are their siblings?" Haku had to ask and noticed that the atmosphere within the guest room had gotten depressing and heavy, like trying to breathe in a large body of water, at the very bottom. "You weren't happy with them?" "Actually, I was," Naruto said. Haku then said nothing and waited for more of the story. "I was actually happy in my family as the only child until I turned 5. Several months beforehand, I learned from my former parents that Kushina-san was pregnant, with twins. I was told that I can finally become a big brother." Haku noticed that Naruto was distant again, must be when he looks so far into the past, metaphorically. Haku then felt behind her was Hinata grasping her boyfriend's hand. "Anyways, I was the happiest boy in the village, possibly the world. I was going to have such adorable siblings to play with, to read my favorite stories to even help my former parents tuck them into bed. I wanted to be the best big brother I could, and to me, it meant helping my mother as well." Haku smiled. And one of the most tragic and hardened shinobi of Konoha was a man who retained the same kindness and thoughtful personality from his days as a child. But when it was time for the twins to finally arrive, something happened. Something that we never seen ahead of time. And something that none of us wanted to happen. Haku had taken a sharp breath at the sudden change in tone. While Kushina-san was giving birth, my former parents and some trusted aide were attacked by an intruder using a power never seen before, to act like a ghost that enter and exit anything without a hitch. And this intruder wanted the Hokage and his wife dead for reasons I never found out. All I knew was that he was a person who was nigh dead to world and asked of me to help him see it again. I never seen hide or hair of him ever since." Haku somehow felt sympathetic with Naruto, to the point of understanding that pain from experiencing it firsthand. But that night wasn't over. Not when it was now clear why the intruder went after the Hokage and his wife. To unleash a beast of incredible power that was controlled into attacking the village. "The Kyuubi." Haku gasped. She always thought that the Kyuubi no Yoko was just a myth, a fairy tale just like the creator of the shinobi world. And since it was too powerful for any non-living container, it had to be sealed again and into a living creature. But the Hokage had other plans and split the Kyuubi in half and sealed the pieces into the twins. "No way!" Haku was not understanding any of this. "But why? Why the twins? Why my Kikuin?" "Haku," Naruto said in a stern tone that he had adapted into being a Jonin teacher that was reserved for the twin children of the Hokage. "The Kyuubi is a beast that is made out of pure chakra, pure energy that is all bounded into a physical form by a conscious. And for the Kyuubi as a whole to destroy a village, imagine the power honed by a shinobi? That was what my father had in mind when he changed the twins, my younger sister and brother, forever. He probably wanted to make sure that the twins will be the prefect heirs by being stronger than me. And that was difficult because he knew that I was a prodigy in the works. I already competed tree walking and water walking in 2 weeks, by the time the Kyuubi attacked the village. But how? No child at the age of 5 can do such a thing!" Haku shouted, ignoring when Naruto said the title father with much venom. I wasn't the first Haku. Prodigies like Itachi Uchiha, Kakashi Hatake, and even the Hokage himself had proved to have more talent than myself at a much younger age. Naruto said, and Haku said no more, to try and listen to the rest of the story. Anyways, I was disgusted with my family when they forced the twins from me for another 5 years as I tried to prove that I can help. But they always ignored me, and when I learned that they were going to steal my birthright, using their neglect of my training as an excuse to call me weak. After that, I never even wanted to see the clan of the Hokage again and instead moved on with my life. With some help, of course. Naruto smiled at Hinata, who giggled and showed her blush rather than try to hide it like when she was much younger. But when I became a jonin at the age of 15, I found myself wanting to get involved with the clan again when I first found Irina, beaten to a pulp, covered by the elements and left to be forgotten in the shadows. Haku then finally noticed that she had been crying for a short while, starting somewhere in the middle of the story. When she said that she was abused by the Hokage and his family and treated like a stranger, a mistake, an accident, a punching bag of a children that the Hokage didn't want as one of his children. Naruto said with his free hand in a fist so tight, his knuckles were turning white and there were even some blood around his fingertips. I didn't want any of that to happen, and because I ignored the clan, I didn't see another innocent child forced to live a life a lot like mine, even worse. I couldn't forgive myself for it, and that is why I changed my mind when I was told to take my love as a student but the twins as well. And the rest is history. Silence filled the room as soon as Naruto was done with the story of his life. Hinata shifted so that she will be hugging her boyfriend from behind when it was clear that even holding hands wasn't enough. Hinata tried her entire body as comfort from the touch. Meanwhile, Haku just sat there, crying the whole time. She couldn't decide if she still loves Keiji or resent him. But all that will be answered when the seals on the walls and door of the room had lowered and in came the very boy that Haku was debating internally on. Haku-chan, he said, still in his new modest tone. Now you know more about me, do you still want to try at it? If we need to split, then I will be okay too. I will move on just like sensei. We all move on. Keiji then got tackled by Haku instead of a slap like he was bracing for. Kokuen Keiji wasn't the least bit embarrassed at Haku's cute little nickname for the time being. How can I hate you when it was your father that turned you and Mito-chan into monsters? Keiji didn't see that coming but wanted to hear more before responding. How could a father do that to his own children? How? Haku-chan, Keiji started to say, let's make a promise. Haku looked up to see what Keiji had in mind, and so did Naruto and Hinata, who were still sitting on the bed. Let's promise never to care about anything before family, before people's feelings, before what is truly important to us all. I will give it all to carry it out, so will you do the same? Keiji's answer was a searing kiss on his lips from an overwhelmed Haku, her face now covered in tears of conflicting and swirling emotions. Of course. I will promise on my life and blood. I swear. Keiji just smiled for the rest of the day. He then turned to his teacher and the latter's girlfriend with a look that seemed to say thanks for everything. Well, Haku-chan, Keiji said, first thing that morning. It is that time of year at last. Wish us luck. Keiji said to his girlfriend while the remainder of his team waited patiently with him on that same bridge. Naruto had just gave them big news that was either great or grave. They were admitted into this year's Chunin exams. I know, Kuchan. And I know you and your team will just fine. After all, who gave us all the advice that got us this far? Haku responded and whispered the last sentence in private, and Keiji shivered that his girlfriend was bold enough to breathe literally down his neck. But before Keiji could even respond, Haku seared it all with yet another kiss on the lips. I need to get myself a boyfriend. Mito thought to herself, I am missing on all the action. Mito took all this like a kid who was watching her big brother work and wanted to do what he does for a living. Okay, Haku-chan. I think you need to break it up before Keiji faints. That is the last thing I want to happen today. Naruto said sternly, and Haku had to suddenly break for a need of oxygen that she was using her willpower to ignore. But a sudden hit of Ki had completely shattered it all. Thankfully, Keiji was still in the conscious world and only sighed in sadness that this intimate moment between him and his girl had to be broken due to duty calls. Keiji just never even imagined that the phrase duty calls will hurt so much. Keiji still wanted something to remember, so he just did one of his practice techniques, a kiss that was brief but didn't hold back. This one had practically stole all the strength Haku had in her legs, and Keiji gave her a good boost to get on her way back to work while he joined his team. I am proud for you, Keiji. The said heir looked up to the blonde jonin. Most will try to do this in secret, and without their girls knowing, fearing that they will only be heartbroken if we men died on the field. I guess that I am not like most sensei. Keiji simply said, and Naruto nodded. And there is nothing wrong with being unique. It helps us become our own people. Naruto answered and placed his hand on Keiji's shoulder. Come on, let's go and make our village proud of you and your team. Yes, sensei. Yes, Naruto-kun. With that said, everything seemed to have fizzled out with only one thing on either of their minds. Of when Team 8 first heard of the Chunin exams and finally met Genin team from a foreign village. And how they nearly died on that encounter. Moments ago. I wonder what Sensei wants us to do today. Mito asked as she and her team were walking throughout the village because they were asked to meet up with Naruto in a good full hour. They needed to kill some time waiting. I just hope it isn't something big because I am feeling like having yet another date with Haku-chan. Not since our last one was a week ago. Keiji added his own 2 cents and got an excited girl of Snow to grasp his arm. I hope not either. I just can't wait any longer for our next date. Haku cheered out, still a little acting out of character. After all, she was cold as her ice on the battlefield and tried to kill herself for a rogue shinobi. Whatever. And please tell me you noticed it too. Hinata said, and her team flinched a little. For someone that was usually kind and caring, she could have a sharp edge at some times. And the twin heirs looked back to see that they were being followed by someone who needed a lot more work on their disgusting skills. After all, they tried to hide with a cardboard box painted a lot like a rock. You can come out now, Konohamaru Sarutobi. You need work. Keiji said, but didn't wait for anything else to happen and instead kicked the box into a nearby trash can. That same trash can fell over to spill its original contents along with the box flipping over to reveal a trio of kids. So you have made friends with Moegi and Udan from the academy, huh? Now Keiji recognized them and explained to his girlfriend on how the 3 kids were attending the academy, and they met during one of their D-rank missions in the past few months. Konohamaru has short spiky brown hair, black eyes, and a small chip in his tooth. When Team 8 first met him, Konohamaru wore a gray helmet with a hole at the top for his hair to stick out of. Now he is wearing a pair of goggles that Naruto had given him at the time the D-rank ended. On top of all that, it seemed that Konohamaru wore his blue scarf all his life, according to his clan and classmates. Udan has short brown hair and dark eyes. He is characterized by the drip of snot always seen hanging from his nose and his circular glasses. He wore a simple blue shirt which zipped up the middle, a pair of brown pants, sandals and a pair of goggles to represent his membership in what they call themselves as the Konohamaru Ninja Squad. And Moegi, like the rest of the members of the Konohamaru Ninja Squad, wore goggles just like the ones that Naruto gave to her friends. She has orange hair tied up, with red elastics, into 2 very large pigtails. She also has a perpetual blush. And finally, she wears a red tank top over a pink t-shirt layered at the bottom. Her pants are gray and she wears the traditional ninja sandals. That's amazing! You saw through my brilliant disguise. Konohamaru forgot about being found out and took it as a sigh of good skill from Mito. Nothing too hard for my rival. Yes, Mito had reluctantly gotten a rivalry with Konohamaru Sarutobi, the direct grandson of Hiruzen Sarutobi aka the 3rd Hokage of Konoha. Mito couldn't even find any words to retort, and just sighed. But Konohamaru was still filled with excitement, and had to vent it out on her brother. And who is this cutie? Is she your girlfriend? Konohamaru was still a young kid with a blunt and innocent demeanor. She is my girlfriend, Maru, Keiji said with Haku pressed against him. Of course not too much, as Haku will only enjoy her man being possessive so much until it reaches the border of overprotectiveness. And no one can stand an overprotective spouse or anyone else related for that matter. Sorry, big brother, Konohamaru said as he knew that Uzumaki glare anywhere. He just doesn't get how Naruto and Keiji can have it all the same despite not even being related. Excuse me? The entire Team 8 plus Haku and the Konohamaru Ninja Squad turned to see some unfamiliar faces. My brothers and I are trying to find our way around the village. And we would like to hear anything on Konoha from anyone local. Sorry, but we don't know your names. I am Hinata Hyuga. This is Haku, the trio of students from the academy following us and my teammates, Keiji and Mito Namikaze. Hinata initiated and started the introduction. And this had caused this strange trio to gasp in disbelief. The twin heirs of the Yondaime Hokage. 2 of them cried out while the 3rd member of the trio just glared at the twins. And now we told you our names, how about you? Keiji said, and the team was brief and to the point. I am Tamari. Tamari was a young girl with teal eyes and sandy blonde hair, which is gathered into 4 consecutive ponytails. Tamari's outfit consists of a single light purple-colored, off-the-shoulders garment that extended to halfway down her thighs, with a scarlet sash tied around her waist. In addition to incorporating fishnet worn over her shoulders and legs, specifically on her right calf and her left thigh, she also wore her black forehead protector around her neck. I am Kankuro, Tamari's sister. Kankuro wore a black, baggy, full-body suit with a red and yellow circle on the front. He also wears a black hood which covered his head completely, and had cat-like ears and his forehead protector on his forehead. And his face was covered in some kind of makeup, it's war paint. The third one said nothing, so he was introduced as both Temari's and Kankuro's brother, Gaara. Gaara has fair skin, green eyes, and short red hair. He has no distinctive pupils or eyebrows, the latter of which others sometimes make fun of. He's had tanuki-like black rings around his eyes his whole life. Gaara wears a black bodysuit with an open neck, t-shirt-like sleeves, and almost full-length leggings. With this, he wears a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips. He has a wide leather band from his left shoulder to his right hip with which he carries around a giant gourd and around which he wraps his forehead protector. Not to be rude, but how come you are in our village? We were not told that Genin from the other villages were visiting, Keiji said, and the trio smirked in their own way. They were indeed Genin from their home village of Sunagakure, within the neighboring Wind Country. It was just going well until Konohamaru had to let his mouth run blunt again. What is wrong with your eyes? And what is with that tattoo for love on your forehead? Are you some kind of freak? That didn't sit well at all with Gaara, and when everyone felt like the air had suddenly gotten heavier, they failed to notice Gaara grasping his head and his forehead veins were showing. It was like Gaara had suddenly gotten a massive headache. And thing that everyone missed was the twins glowing blood red and were growling at Gaara. That will be enough out of you, Suna Genin. But then the air had gotten normal again when everyone heard that voice just perfectly. It was Naruto, and he had somehow settled down the Ki within the atmosphere. I won't be having you three breaking my students before the both of you compete in the exams. Not even on Hiruzen-sama's only grandson. The three Suna Genin flinched, including Gaara, at the glance of Naruto's eyes and backed off as the Jonin inspected his students and the other children for any damage that was done before he arrived. Thankfully, none of them had anything serious or hindering of their capabilities in the shinobi practice. And another thing. Naruto then sensed that the Genin from Suna had tried to leave before they get into any more trouble with the infamous twisted eye of Konoha. But it was not to be. I managed to stop your brother from killing in our village, but if you let this happen again and during the exams, when I can't be there to stop it, I will make sure that you will be punished severely. Naruto then unleashed his own Ki that had made the last burst seem tame, and that goes double since one of my students happens to be my girlfriend, irreplaceable and precious. Let's just see how well you understand both of them. And just like that, Team 8 and their fellow Konoha residents hadn't seen hair or hide of the Suna team since. But that was going to change once the exams start. And all will see just how the foreign Genin will take Naruto's warning. Also, this will show just how well Team 8 of Konoha will do without Naruto around. After all, he was the sole one responsible for their success and their skill level. Only fate will tell, and only time will tell when it will be revealed. With that determination in mind and the past at the back of their heads, Team 8 were at the building set on their entry cards. That meant that the start of the exams are somewhere on the third floor, all according to the cards. But once they found the first set of stairs and made up the second, they came across a most curious sight. Please let us in. We are running out of time and we need to be inside to take the Chunin exams. It was Tenten. But why is she wasting her time with a bunch of guards on only the second floor? Keiji looked at his sister who nodded back. Please. MMPH. Tenten was interrupted when Mito had clasped her on the mouth and pulled her away with the rest of Team 8, following them both. Later. Guys. What was the big idea? I was just trying to get into the exam room, Tenten proclaimed when Mito finally released her hand from the former's mouth. What we were doing was to return the favor after you helped us and waved Tenten. You fell for something as a pretest before the exams start. To start weeding out those that have the greatest chance of dying. Keiji told Tenten as they all walked up the stairs. Because if you couldn't even see through a simple disguise and a simple illusion, then you won't be able to adapt to the rest of the exams, and surely perish. Try to prove you and your team, wherever they are, that you are our seniors, Tenten. The girl with panda ears shaped and sized hair buns spoke no more and looked down that she almost humiliated her team. What a way to make a first impression to the other teams besides Konoha's Team 8. And they found Lee and Niji ahead of Tenten because they also saw through the trick, but Tenten stayed behind because she didn't want to believe them. Now that was double on Tenten's disgrace. Thankfully, it was their own dirty little secret, so Tenten wouldn't have to admit it to anyone else.